few of the kids. There's still loads of people out on the pitch, but they start to disperse, leaving the 30 men who will start this Premiership final. Sarah Orchard is on the touchline for us. Sarah.
Yeah, I'm in touching distance of Sam Ryder, who's just coming past me now with his guitar. I mean, what a start to this Premiership final, and I have to call this early. This is one of the best atmospheres I've ever been in here for finals day, and it was really notable when the directors of rugby came out the tunnel, in particular Johan van Graan. He came up, he just stood, he looked up into the Twickenham sky, had a moment to himself, nodded his head, then went and took his seat. I think we are in for quite the game, Chris.
Yeah, telling how Van Graan told you earlier, Sarah, that this is what rugby is all about, this is what sport is all about, this is why he does it. This is why the fans follow their team for days like this, and a season that started in mid-September on a Friday night at the Rec. 9 months later, it feels like the whole of Bath have headed down the M4. But there'll be loads in from Leicester too. Leicester fans who know what it's like to come to Twickenham and get the job done. 11 times champions. And as Ali was saying, since 1996, when Bath were last the Kings of England, Leicester have won it 9 times. 2 heavyweights of English rugby, 2 of the great rugby clubs in the world. Referee Carl Dixon says to Henri Pollard, let's go to work in the Premiership final. He chips it straight down the middle, it ricochets around, Ben Spencer grabs it, immediately puts boots of ball, Pollard goes into the backfield, and he's got Freddie Stewart alongside him. Stewart took the catch and pops it up into the air, Stewart. Forward comes Finn Russell, tackled by Stewart, good offload from Russell, just below us here in the West Stand, a couple of metres in from touch, on the 10-metre line in Bath territory. Bath in blue, black and white from right to left. Leicester are in white, playing from left to right. The referee's Carl Dixon. The ARs, the assistant refs are Luke Pearce and Adam Leal. The TMO will hear from him, Anthony Woodthorpe. Come on you Bath is the cry. There are tens and tens of thousands of Bath fans in here as Ted Hill almost gets to the ball and had a hint of an opportunity to get away, but it was knocked on by Hill. And the opening exchanges end Matt Dawson with a scrum to the Tigers. What is it, a few metres or so inside their 10-metre line, 35 metres from their own line, Leicester ball.
Yeah, we're going to see a fair amount of that, I think, from Ben Spencer going through the routine, set up the box kick on a sixpence. Yet again, that left foot has just been prolific all season. There's got to be a moment for Carl Dixon. I think the officials have got a really tough day today, because there are going to be some big decisions to be made, knowing what happened last year with someone being sent off, Habana being sent off in the first 5 minutes, and with all the razzle-dazzle and the razzmatazz, you don't want this game being, over because of a disciplinary issue.
Yeah, Beto Urbano, no doubt desperate to put last year right. Bath desperate to end 30 years, almost 30 years, 29 years of hurt. But Leicester, if there is any team to come and spoil a Bath party, it would be typical of the Tigers. Leicester have it after a scrum, and Jack Van Portfleet, who'll be right on Steve Borthwick's England radar ahead of the summer tours. That's a perfect kick for Van Portfleet. Ferocious exchanges, but it ends up with Van Portfleet spinning it to Henri Pollard. That's a nice ball. They almost got away through Woodward. Freddie Stewart is looping around and gets an offload away, but it's a loose one actually from Freddie Stewart. Bath up the line out.
It's great intent from Leicester. Going back for the knock-on to scrum. This is going to be an interesting area, the scrum. Carl Dixon just made Leicester play away from the first one, but Bath chose to put Thomas du Toit starting today. He's been on the bench all year and coming at a massive impact, but today, of all days, they decided to start him. Which is just going to really put pressure on the Leicester scrum from the start, because he is unbelievable prop.
That reminds me to rattle through the two teams, actually. Bath have made a couple of changes. As you say, Thomas du Toit starts normally off the bench. Well, he was off the bench in the semi-final. Beno Urbano, Tom Dunn and Thomas du Toit, the Bath front row. Quinn Roux, Charlie Ewells, the second row. Ted Hill, Guy Pepper, Miles Reid. Miles Reid starts instead of Alfie Barbary, who drops to the bench. Ben Spencer, Finn Russell, we heard from that pair in the build-up. Cam Redpath and Max Ajomo, son of Bath great Steve. They're in the midfield. Will Muir, Joe Cokanasiga and Tom Dick Glanville, whose dad Phil captained Bath to the double in 1996. That's the Bath team. Leicester on the way, but let's see what happens from this scrum. Leicester putting a bit of pressure on the Bath set piece. and they've got a penalty advantage as the scrum wheels round. Arm out from Carl Dixon, spun wide by Van Portfrey. Radwan's off his wing. Don't think much is going to come from this, so back they come for the penalty. First blood at the scrum to the Leicester Tigers.
Yeah, certainly didn't see that one coming, and nobody would have seen the first scrum going down. A penalty to Leicester, not a chance, especially with that Bath front row that you've gone through. It just says to all of us the amount of adrenaline, the amount of mental and physical preparation that goes into these types of matches. You can become superhuman, and Leicester are going to tap into that. What a kick.
Oh, talking about superhuman, Dawes, a man who just revels in the bigger the occasion, the higher the stakes, the better he is. Andre Pollard, Ashley, what's he gone, 55-60 there? Leicester are 5 metres out now from that penalty.
He had no angle as well there to work with. To put it 5 metres is ridiculous. Could we see some sort of... In finals, as always, teams always use a special play, something different that you've not seen in the season to catch their opposition off guard. It's perfect time to use that.
Yeah, Leicester did a couple 3 years ago when they beat Sarries. Chris Ashton on the wing for the full 80 that day. Nicky Smith, Julian Montoya, Joe Hayes, the front row for Leicester. Montoya throws into the line out, nicely won by Leicester. Heave is the cry from the travelling hordes from the East Midlands. This is a perfectly set maul, you know. Montoya's at the back, and you could just sense where they're going, Leicester. They're motoring forward, they've got penalty advantage. I think Montoya could score here. He's only 2 metres short, he's up to the line. Oh, he's walked it in, has he? Just short. There for Van Portfleet, who picks and goes and scores! Jack Van Portfleet! And Leicester lead the Prem final. We've barely played a few minutes.
What was it, 1996, this match? 29 years ago. That's the only way Leicester would have scored a try. From a driving maul, Neil back at the base of the base of the maul, maybe. But Leicester rolling back the years, old school kick. I mean, it wasn't an old school kick to corner, it was an incredible kick to the corner. But that wasn't going anywhere. The moment Jack Van Portfleet went into, as if to say, "Oh, give me the ball," Montoya was like, "Give over, what are you talking about? We are trundling these boys over. We've got them on toast."
It's far too easy, that, for Leicester Tigers. Bath are not at the races right now, but what I will say, they've done this a few times this season. Started slow, not lost any composure, as you see Pollard straight between the middle. They've come back, they've got into the routine, so I very much doubt the rattles, but that you can't lose the scrum penalty 5. That's far too easy there from Bath. They can't allow Leicester just to play the game like that, because they've been so good at doing that this year.
It is just one observation from last week's game. Would have been a nightmare for Bath that Pollard was below par last week, because a man of that quality goes away and comes back and says, "That's never going to happen again. I'm having the best week of my life."
Well, the 3 years of outlay to pay for a man as decorated as Andre Pollard will be worth every penny if he steers Leicester to this Premiership final. He's already come up with a brilliant kick that's led to that line out that maul and that Jack Van Portfleet try. And as Ashley says, Pollard split the post. Leicester lead the Prem final by 7 as we check in with Katie at the Queen's Club. Katie.
And we've had a huge upset. Tatiana Maria, the world number 86, the 37-year-old mother of 2, has now become the oldest player in history to reach a WTA 500 final here at Queen's. She knocked out the second seed, the Australian Open champion Madison Keys, in straight sets, coming through in that second set tiebreaker. Arms went up. She's becoming a new fan favourite here on the grass at Queen's, and she'll face either Zheng Xingwen, the Olympic champion, or Amanda Anisimova here in the final tomorrow.
Yeah, talking of upsets, South Africa won the World Test Championship. I know they were always going to do it this morning, but if you'd said that a few days ago, few would have believed you. But South Africa beating Australia, chasing down the runs at Lord's. And if Leicester are going to upset the odds here, they've made a brilliant start. They lead by 7, but Bath have a bit of territory and a bit of possession. After Tom Dunn got on the loose ball, Finn Russell out to Jomo, just short of the 22. For the first time in the opening 8 minutes, Bath have a bit of ball. The ball is spat out, illegally so though. Leicester infringing on the floor. Carl Dixon giving the penalty. Tommy Raphael looks crestfallen, but Russell will now have a chance to put Bath on the board in the final.
Yeah, good bounce back from Bath. Just what you need to do, just to take the steam out of the pressure that was building in that initial 8 minutes from Leicester. I mean, they're taking their time Bath are taking their time as to whether they want to kick for goal or go for the corner, but a little conflab between Ben Spencer and Finn Russell, and Ashley going for 3.
Oh yeah, I think it's right.
That's why I said no.
Right decision to go for posts for sure. It's too easy of a kick to turn it down. He's just saying that Tommy Raffel got the ball after the ruck, but
Tommy, I'll try and tell you to release if I can in time.
That's the issue though. There's no messaging to the players, and he already thinks he's on the ball. It looked a first steal to me.
That's the line you tread as a 7, and Tommy Raffel is right out of that classic number 7 mould, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it also tells you that Carl Dixon knows that he made a bad decision.
Why? Because he said, I'll tell you next time.
Yeah.
Russell kicks the goal, Bath on the board, Bath 3, Leicester 7. Shall we check in with Sarah on the touchline? Sarah, you're right behind the Leicester bench. I imagine they were going nuts at that try.
Yeah, I can tell you they were all on their feet. We had to watch it on the big screen because they were obscuring all of our vision. We're right next to the tunnel, Chris. I can see in front of me, I've got Ben Youngs, I've got Dan Cole, waiting for them in the second half to play their last ever games of rugby. Incredible stuff down here. I can tell you the main news is there's a lot of water being taken on.
Yeah, it is hot. I mean, we are fortunately shaded in the west stand. Over in the east, everyone's got their sunnies on because it's brutally hot. Amazing conditions, really. You know, all the cold, dark days in the depths of winter for these players and supporters. Worth it when you get an afternoon like this. There is not a seat in the Twickenham house as Bath clatter Leicester on the gain line. 10 minutes gone, they've flown by. 5 Live and BBC Sounds as Van Portfleet pops it into the air, expecting a fair bit of box kicking in the opening stages, but if you come onto it and take it like that from Tom de Glanville, what a boost that is for your team. Now Charlie Ewells drives. Excellent work from Tom de Glanville. Bath and Titles run in that family. And how romantic it is to have 2 sons out there of Bath greats in a Jomo and de Glanville. Nothing romantic about what we've seen in the opening 10 or 11 minutes, though, as both teams putting their bodies on the line. Here is the aforementioned de Glanville, who kicked a bit of a scudder right down the middle of the pitch. Van Portfleet, the try scorer, in his pink boots. He'll look for a touch, and he finds a touch solid enough from the 9. It'll be a line out to Bath just inside their own half.
Bath looks so dangerous on the kick contest. There's 2 of them all the time. One's contesting and winning, and then it was Reid that time. Just didn't come up, missed the ball. Ted Hill previously nearly had the ball and he was away. Got to be careful, Leicester.
Tackle, but he's clearly bent to the hips. No foul
Bath
play.
are winning
So
that.
has been cleared.
That area, the kick battle, which we're going to probably see a lot of in this game because they've got so many backfield players that are so good in the air.
Bath go quickly off the line out into centre field. Miles Reid had a big second half for Bath last Friday night against Bristol as they turned it around to eventually win 34-20 and book their place in the showpiece. Spencer gets it away. It was under real pressure, wasn't it, from Cam Henderson, the Scottish international. Bath have won that kick battle because they've got it back and they might be able to play here. Reid again, over half away goes the number 8. Leicester all over the floor. They've given another penalty away. They're not quite getting in Carl Dixon's good books on the floor. Russell came from the right side to the left side and the ball hit him as he tried to get into some space. But referee Dixon's penalised Leicester again on the floor. Russell's not got the biggest boot in world rugby, but I do wonder if he'll fancy this from a couple of metres inside the Leicester half.
It's another tough challenge there over the ball. Cracknell this time thinking he had a sniff. There was a moment where you thought Carl Dixon might have just remembered the previous penalty that he'd given and maybe give it back to Leicester as Leicester's captain Machoya just goes to have a word with him and say, that's 2. What's wrong with it? Talk to us, sir. We want to know what's wrong with that challenge. As far as the kick chase goes, actually, you just bang on there. Bath are doing a load of homework on who they're trying to throw up and challenge. But not only that, but the players that they're surrounding around the bounce of the ball, they're taking Leicester apart.
Yeah, Leicester have got to be careful now. You don't want to give another penalty away. You've got to learn fast from the referees in these games.
Guy Pepper wins the line out into centre field. Spencer finds Redpath in the sunshine at Twickenham. 7-3 Leicester, but Bath are probing and pressing with intent. 15 metres out or so, slap bang in centre field. Spencer pulling the strings, but Reid knocks on desperate to get his hands on the ball. He's done it a few times, and then Pollard loses it, and then he kicks. That's probably advantage over. How he's got that away. It's a spiral as well. Ludicrous kick from Pollard. Bounces in field. Opposite number Russell. Halfway line. He just prods the ball towards Pollard, who's in the backfield, and he then kicks. He's so languid, isn't he, Pollard? Whether he's kicking goals for World Cup wins or just clearing his lines, always looks to be done at his own pace. To Glanville, up he goes. Pollard comes forward, back for the Glanville. The Glanville is cut in half by Cracknell, and Leicester might be able to go off turnover ball. Then they lose it. So a load of knock-ons, a load of advantages. The first one was by Bath. It will be a Leicester scrum, and those handling errors, Matt Dawson, can only be final and pressure because the conditions are just prime for handling.
Yeah, sweaty though, I'm guessing the boys. The shirts by now are going to be full of sweat after, cranking it up in the changing room and then getting onto the pitch. Beautiful weather. It's a little bit slightly different getting you. I'm not sure how much rugby both these teams have played in these conditions, but it does take a little bit of adjusting, Chris, when you're as sort of sweaty and
we try to do so much prep for it, to train in hot rooms, in saunas, the lot, that you can't do it because you're in there for 20-30 minutes. Being out here, they've been out here now for 30-40 minutes, but both teams, Bath especially, they've won the kicking game, but they're not quite finding their groove off the back of it. And Leicester, 2 penalties already is too many in my mind in 14 minutes to give away. It's unnecessarily. And this situation in the turn-off, got to give that to Radwan, man. The bloke's electric. Just give it to him, let him run.
Well, with Bath, it seems to me that absolutely their default position, even when they're in attacking half, they're going to kick it away, aren't they? They just want. They're saying to Leicester, go on, make a mistake from your own 22. We'll get a defensive line and we'll see where we go from there.
I remember well the interview you gave to Sarah after the 2022 final. You could barely talk.
And Freddie Stewart had done so much of my running. He did it all. I just saw him doing it again. He was doing it for Pollard. Pollard was kicking. Freddie's like a greyhound. He just keeps going and going. So the problem is with that, if Freddie's chasing, Pollard's got to be the one that catches the cat, and he's not doing that at the minute.
Because it was 15-12, wasn't it? It wasn't the most open final, but I remember it so well. Leicester beating Saracens. It was on a knife edge from second one to the very, very last kick, with Freddie Burns kicking that drop goal to win Leicester's 11th title.
Can we establish that Freddie Burns is still with us, though, after ABB a little bit early on said that late Freddie Burns drop goal, and there was a part of me thought, oh my goodness me, something's happened, but no, he's fine. He's absolutely fine.
He's understandably, I've seen Freddie out on podcast this week reveling in the moment, because that was an extraordinary moment for Freddie Burns and for Leicester Tigers and for all their supporters, beating Saracens as they did 15-12 in 2022, the last time they've won this trophy. Bath have had to wait since 1996, and they're 4 points down in the final. Only 15 minutes gone though. Bath 3, Leicester 7. And if Bath have won a few breakdown penalties, Leicester are getting some change at the scrum. Just when the game is so fascinating, when every single battle is so closely fought.
I can't understand that. I mean, Van Graan's got his selection decisions 99% right this year. But that front row decision is an odd one for me to start
because
today.
They were going so well as they were. Yeah. Not just the starting 3, but Niall and Francois van Wyk and Will Stewart on the bench today. But normally Stewart has been starting, or often he's been starting, with Thomas du Toit coming on. But Bath's bench and what they do in the final 20, 30, 40 minutes of games is a huge reason why they are here. So this game, you feel, could go right to the wire. As Bath again win that kicking battle, Stewart got up, but he knocked it into the path of Miles Reid. And so Bath set it up in centre field, 25 metres, 30 metres out or so. Russell, cross pass, that's perfect for Kokonasiga, who's down the right touchline. He's felled, but he's inside the 22. Bath 3, Leicester 7, 16 gone in the final. Live on BBC Sounds at the home of English rugby. Russell on the gain line, out to Guy Pepper, who was superb against Bristol, as were so many of this Bath side. Russell, nice ball. Tom de Glanville's almost through. Had a couple of men with him, Ajomo and Reid, but he sets it up to Glanville. Spencer, Russell just starting to cook a little bit here, the blue, black and white, as Pepper drives up to the 22. Spencer looks left and goes right. Great service from the England scrum half, Beno Urbano on the gain line. in the sunshine at Twickenham. Russell gets into the wide channel and Muir, but this is a decent defensive set from Leicester as well. Bath asking questions, so far Leicester answering them as Bath trundle up, and they've actually, guys, moved them back quite far, and the ball from Spencer's a bit loose to Ajomo. He's then cut in half by Katter, I think it was, and this is really Leicester at their best in defence, but that's Russell at his best. Oh, if anyone was going to unlock this suffocating Leicester defence, it's going to be Finn Russell. He got half a yard of space, the offload away, but Cokanasiga knocked it on. Fascinating little passage of the game.
Yeah, I think Finn Russell just had enough of distributing. Leicester flying up, just assuming that the ball is going to get either flicked in behind or whizzed across the Bath defence. The Leicester defence. But Leicester's just not competing. Leicester are just happy to get that initial tackler out of the way, white wall across the field, and Bath are just struggling to penetrate, which is really unlike them, because their key runners ordinarily are breaking lines, and then it becomes momentum, and then Finn Russell has that ball on the front foot, Ashley, but it all seems to be a little bit too static at the moment for him.
I think Bath, because they played so wide, we saw a kick that you just don't know what Finn Russell's going to do. Flap, kick, pass. You've got to stay numbers on feet, but it's the problem is when they get momentum and you're not competing, how do you stop it? So a line break, half a break like Russell decided to do then. So annoying that Cokanasiga's not been able to catch that ball clean through.
Leicester scrum, Cracknell storms away and smashes through Russell, and he goes up to the halfway line. That is some break from Ollie Cracknell, and Van Portfleet sniping down the right, and he offloads. This is brilliant from Leicester. They've gone 30-40 metres, they might have numbers to the left. What they got here, Cracknell, Pollard gets it away but loose. Woodward leaves it for Freddie Stewart, halfway line, now inside the Bath half. Still they lead by 7-3, the Tigers. Premiership final live at Twickenham on 5 Live. Van Portfleet, options left, he goes right though. Pollard's on the gain line, inside to Van Portfleet, who's going to play a bit of territory. He's overcooked it though. And that promising Leicester attack ends up with Van Portfleet kicking it out on the full, and Bath getting the line out just inside their own half.
Bath count themselves lucky there. If that pass had gone to hand after the Cracknell break, they had numbers out there. Jack decided to go short around the ruck. I don't think it was the right play to go. But Bath need to get themselves together quickly. Both teams just not able to make it come to anything.
It's the final though, isn't it? We've sat in these seats so many times and spoken about all the credentials of both teams that are playing, but when it's a final, it just gets a little cagey. Bath have made, I'm going to say Bath have made 6 handling errors. They've now made 7. And even if it is a bit sweaty, a bit greasy, I don't think they're making those handling errors if this is the first game of the season, even in these conditions.
Yeah, I'll go all the way back to the warm-up. It just didn't look sharp. Bath didn't look sharp. There wasn't an intensity that you would expect coming into a final. And then they were to our left-hand side, and then you watch Leicester warming up. And they were putting themselves under enormous pressure. The bench were all bibbed up, absolutely putting the heat on the starting 15 to say this is the intensity we're going to be playing at. And all of a sudden, Leicester are attacking with brains as well as the brawn. And yeah, I mean, as far as Bath go, it all looks, I don't know, it looks a bit too lackadaisical for me.
Well, it's a penalty to Bath at the scrum. That's a nerve settler for the blue, black and white. Because Leicester had won a penalty, they'd won a free kick at the scrum. This time it goes Bath's way. And Russell, that knock on and that scrum for Leicester has not been costly at all, because Bath have got the penalty, and Russell, Chris Ashton, drives Bath back into Leicester territory.
Yeah, for the Leicester backline there, you'd be gutted. It was Radwan and Hassel Collins on this right-hand side. It looked dangerous. Katter on the left. Just got to get the ball in and away, Nicky Smith. You just do your job, hold it up, get the ball in and away quickly. Don't try and fight the toy every single scrum.
We're halfway through the first half, done. Won by Hill, and then Pepper fires it away, and then knocked it on again, and then Reed knocked it on. It wasn't quite right. Dunn found Hill right at the top of his jump. He just about caught it, but his ball to Pepper wasn't ideal. Pepper's ball wasn't ideal, and then Ajomo knocked it on. So Bath are just adding handling error upon handling error. It's a catalogue of mistakes from the favourites. And Radwan's got away, has he? Almost. He's beaten 3 or 4. Incredible leg strength from Adam Radwan. And Van Poortvliet gets it out to Pollard. He looks over the head of de Glanville. Oh, very well covered. Good pace from Tom de Glanville. That looked dangerous at one point. But the fullback got back to snuff it out. Will be a mark and a free kick to Bath. But I think they've made this number of handling errors all season. They made almost double figures in the first 22 minutes of the final.
It's amazing. Great break from Radwan. He nearly got all the way through. What is slightly concerning me is how slow Leicester are to get to him. They're not reacting. There's an opportunity there. I'm watching Nicky Smith. Nicky Smith's still walking.
Is that the temperature, the heat?
There must be something in it, but it's not ideal 22 minutes in.
Hoisted by Stewart. De Glanville again takes it nicely. Gets a little friendly push from Stewart. But de Glanville goes quickly and bangs it downfield. Ollie Hassel-Collins, 13 tries this season. He finds Andre Pollard just outside his own 22. He scampers up to the 10-metre line, finds Hassel-Collins, who's got a little bit of space for the first time in this final, which is 22 and a half minutes old on 5 Live. Bath 3, Leicester 7, cagey stuff. Both sides trying to ask questions with the ball in hand as Kata finds Woodward over on this near touchline. He steps inside. They are managing to bust the gain line here, the Tigers' backs. Van Poortvliet now. Cracknell's having a big game. He storms over the 10-metre line. Nice quick ball. Lightning fast, really, for Van Poortvliet. He wings it out to Raffel. Tommy Raffel. Freddie Stewart tries to kick. Charge down. Who's got it? Is that Tom Dunn? He's done brilliantly there, the hooker, to out-jump Tommy Raffel. Back it comes from Spencer. Russell with an ugly-looking kick, but it might work. And the heat you can feel is getting to these players because Stewart didn't really dance back. It was more of a slope, and I think he might whack it out to try and say to everyone, let's chill out for a second or two. He does do that. Bath get the line out just inside the Leicester half.
Yeah, there's plenty of players from both sides just taking a moment there. Hands on hips, hands on knees, bent over. Let's suck in some oxygen pretty damn quick. Physios, water people are quick to get the fluids on too.
And I imagine Sarah Orchard on the touchline. These replacements going to be up and down all day.
Yeah, the Leicester Tigers replacements, they've just gone off, had a little bit of a run around in the end of the try areas. They're now sat back down. Bath have been off on their run as well. They're behind the post as we speak. But I just wanted to inform you guys that we had a really interesting incident here at the tunnel where just after those 2 penalties that Leicester Tigers gave away on the floor, it's the scrum coach for Leicester Tigers, Neil Folkes, who sat right in front of me. He was right up into the ears of the 4th official refereeing team who's down here to get clarity on what has happened in those 2 penalties. So Leicester Tigers clearly not happy with what happened in that situation, Chris.
Yeah, it was funny earlier on, about 2 hours before kickoff, I saw Michael Checker go over to the officials and it was all handshakes and smiles, and I thought, give it a few hours. I don't know if it'll quite be the same as Tom Dunn throws into the line now. What have Bath got in at their set piece? Won by Pepper. Spencer out to Russell, halfway line. Ajomo, short to Cokanasiga. He crashes into a posse of Tigers defenders, and they drive on again nicely there through the South African World Cup winner Thomas the Toy. Now the Scot Cameron Redpath, who's won here at Twickenham for his country. Nice ball out to Will Muir. That's better from Bath, but Muir is absolutely dumped in the tackle. That was Freddie Stewart, and he scampers back into the backfield after a big impact. They've lost it again. Bath strips in the tackle, but then Bath have got through to win it. Now it's back on the Leicester side. It's a mess at that breakdown, but it is with the Tigers. And Handro Liebenberg sets it up. Pepper's on the floor trying to get it. Has he managed to get it? Well, I think they've allowed that, Ashley. You're not happy, but it's won by Bath. Miles Reed with a dummy. Gets it to Muir. Muir into the 22. Bundles over Radwan. There for Tom Dunn, who's got to play at 9. Good counter up from the Tigers. And I think they've won that back. It is tit for tat on the floor. It's scrappy, it's messy, but it's compelling. It's messy and compelling. And Leicester do have that, Ashley, with that Pepper turnover allowed by the officials.
It's just chaos at the breakdown there. Turnover. Will Muir nearly got away. Straight over Radwan, who you think struggling. Will Muir is deceptively strong. Likes going into contact, and he'll get Pat Meters past it, which is exactly what he did. It's good to see him on the ball. We haven't seen too much of him so far.
Yeah, the clearance by Jack Van Poortvliet was solid, and Leicester take play up to the 10-metre line, but it will be a Bath throw-in. They've just started Matt Dawson we're looking left a bit more than we were the first few minutes of the game.
Well, they're doing something different. They're realising that Leicester have done all their homework. Of course they are. This is, it's finals week. They're going to know everything about Bath. And Bath are just doing what they've done all season. There's been nothing new. It's easier to defend in that manner.
Pepper plays at scrum half. Now out the back it goes Majomo, Spencer Russell. That's much better. The ball is out to Tom de Glanville. De Glanville almost gets on the outside. Good tackle, Hassel Collins. But that was the Bath we've seen a lot this season. Good line-out ball. And then Russell fizzing passes across the face of the defence. 22. Russell again. He jinxed past a couple, looking for the offload. Didn't quite have the support, so he sets it up. Spencer will come to the right. Ben Spencer finds Pepper. Nice ball to Ajomo. Much better this from Bath. Cokanasiga out to Miles Reed. Had de Glanville hugging the right touchline. But Spencer now goes to de Glanville down the blind side. Leicester had got around to make up the numbers, but still there for Bath and their skipper Spencer, who finds Guy Pepper. Big tackling coming in. Was that Rafael on his opposite number? It was. Charlie Ewell short to Benno Urbano. That's good from Urbano. Up to the 5-metre line. They pick and go and they score. One prop in Urbano made the bust. The other prop in Thomas Natoy finishes it off. And the blue, black and white flags are flying all around us. There are tens and tens and tens of thousands of Bath fans in here. Everywhere you look, there's a Bath fan on their feet because they lead the Premiership final for the first time on 27 minutes.
Yeah, all of a sudden you saw a different style from Bath. Lovely, intricate handling outside. It went wide, but all of a sudden then Bath just realised, well, if Leicester are going to fan out, let's go tight. Urbano, quick bust. Really fast ball to Toit, pick and go straight away, no 9 needed. Very clever from Bath. The messages have come on. Stop this fanning out left and right to where Leicester are defending. Vulnerable through the guts, adapted well.
And Russell kicks Bath into a 3-point lead. Bath 10, Leicester 7, 28 minutes gone. Chris Ashton.
That's what we said about Leicester not competing at the break zone. If you fan out, you're going to be vulnerable around the ruck. It's a great line from Urbano initially. He's on his own, really, but he just takes it short, gets 2 or 3 metres. But to Toit, what a try scorer he is. He scores nearly every week, off the bench starting, but that one, pick up 3 metres.
Yeah,
Can't stop him.
That's why he was one of the men shortlisted for Player of the Season, eventually won by Thomas Williams of Gloucester. Miles Reed lost that. He's been everywhere, Reed, but he's kind of mixed up some really good stuff with some handling errors. It didn't matter because it went backwards, but Leicester do have Bath pinned a little bit here in their own 22. 10-7 is Bath's lead, and there'll just be a little bit more of a relaxing air around Twickenham with all these Bath fans in here. But plenty of Leicester fans will have seen enough in the opening half an hour that their team can take this
we are going to have
right
to check this
deep
So it's against
to the end.
Play by
Oh,
White,
there's foul
2,
play, okay.
Foul play by
Right,
White, 2.
shades of last year. We had a red card, and the TMO we promised you'd hear from Anthony Woodthorpe. There he is, Julian Montoya, the magnificent Puma.
Yeah, no problems. We'll stick it on the screen now.
I didn't think it was high at all. I mean, I know we're up here, but it looked like a pretty good tackle to me.
So the replay is Montoya on Hill. Well, is actually the contact lower than the head?
I think the initial contact might have been on the head with his right shoulder. I tell you, there'll be one guy and plenty of Bath fans and Urbano looking at this going, 12 months ago I got sent off for that.
Okay. Tempo.
Let's listen
Yes,
in.
Nico.
We have a decision.
Back to you.
Okay. So we do have head contact. It is foul play because the player can do better. He's not low enough. It is a high degree of danger because he's moving forward into the tackle. However, there's a second tackler that moves him across, which doesn't give the second guy a chance to make an adjustment.
Completely agree.
2.
It's going to be a yellow. It's going to be a yellow because he was the second tackler, and they've decreed that the first Leicester tackler moved the Bath player Ted Hill sufficiently enough to affect Montoya's tackle, so it's only a yellow card. It's not deja vu from last year with a red card.
Inside the 22.
It's one of those that a few years ago could easily been red. The officials perhaps looking for a little bit more mitigation. and it stays 15 on 15 for the 80, even though for the next 10 minutes it'll be Leicester 14 against Bath 15. Sarah Orchard on the touchline. You just seen Montoya come your way.
Yeah, Montoya's just sat down. He's taking on some fluids, and I was actually keeping a really close eye on both sets of coaches as that decision was read out. I have to say both sets were so calm. Lots of notes going down in their little pads they've got in front of them, but everyone keeping cool heads for now.
Chris Ashton, yellow card for you?
Yes, by the book. I do think he was still aiming down, but he caught the head, so it is. The problem is for Leicester now, got to stop Bath momentum. If Bath go again into the 22, they're so dangerous in the 22. They score tries more or less every time they go in there. It's a big 10 minutes here for Leicester.
You feel Bath have just got a little bit of rhythm there, didn't it? It's taken a while, but all of a sudden things started to make a bit of sense for them.
If they feel comfortable, 14 men, everyone sits a little bit easy. They win a scrum penalty here into the corner. They just start to get into that rhythm, what they've had all year. Then they know how the rest of the game unfolds. Everyone just sits a bit easy. Leicester need to disrupt that somehow.
You played in a Saracen side, which I think there are some real comparables for Bath, this Bath side, to that Saracens team, particularly when they felt like your Saracen side had momentum. There was like this inner killer instinct of that squad, that you had momentum and everybody sort of stepped up a gear. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is, and it took a team to do something different or something to come off for them, for you to throw you off. They've had a few chances, Leicester, but they haven't been able to just make that pass stick to knock Bath enough off the stride yet.
Chris Ashton and Matt Dawson, our top team, as ever on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Both of them Premiership champions. Both of them know what it's like to be down there in the Twickenham heat with everything on the line. Bath 10, Leicester 7, half an hour gone. Can Bath make the most of the extra man? They might have some space here. Russell short to Muir, who's off his wing, and he's storming towards the 22. Spencer, great pick-up. That's vintage scrum half play, and he gets it away to Reid, who's everywhere at number 8 today. He's 5 or 6 metres out. Here comes Charlie Ewells. They're sniffing Leicester blood here. Benno Urbano's up to the line. What a moment that would be after last year. Spencer underneath the crossbar. Bath couldn't be much closer. They lead 10-7. What's Carl Dixon seen? There are bodies everywhere. Ollie Chesham is clutching the ball on the goal line. That was talking about bursting into life. Lethal killer instinct, Dawes. That was it in abundance, wasn't it?
Well, Bath have worked it out. They've worked out that first 10 minutes. Brilliant defence from
on the floor illegally. But at the moment, I've got a knock on by this player. But
I think Carl Dixon, the referee, is just asking to have a look at a replay about some maybe an infringement under the Leicester post, so it might lead to another yellow card. But Bath have just worked it out. Once they get that momentum, the space is not out wide. That's where Leicester are defending. It's get through the middle. You could see that Ben Spencer scoop it up. The immediate support player in Finn Russell was right behind him. That's not by fluke, that's by practice.
Oh, is that knocked on by Rude? Okay, this is the big question. Because after Benno Urbano's bust, Quinn Rude picked it up, and then it's whether this ball has gone forward or is that off a Leicester hand, because then I think Bath dot it down. Yeah. This is going to be a really, really interesting one for Carl Dixon and his team. Let's listen.
It might well be.
The hands in there. I'm just trying to see if it's all momentum of the tackle. It's probably worth reviewing formally to talk through it to see whether it's foul play or it's just momentum.
I mean, there's no momentum here. There's a Leicester player on the floor who uses his hand. I mean, you do not need a conflab about this, officials. The Leicester player has handled it on the ground.
So Dicko, we do need to see this, mate.
Okay, so we're looking
Is that not what he's been doing?
By a player on the floor.
I think they're looking whether it's a knock-on, they're looking whether it's a try.
So he's off his feet.
Yeah, that's a yellow card. Oh, Nicky Smith is banged to rights there. I don't think you can give a try, though, because Charlie Ewells' knee's on the floor. So he's out the game. So I don't think Ewells' try will count, because Ewells actually scores it. Let's listen.
White one on the floor, is that right?
That's correct, Carl.
Okay, so we're looking at the fact that the tackle's complete and whether he stripped that illegally on the floor. Is that correct?
That is correct. The best angle's coming up now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were looking at that, actually, as you say, but they're kind of looking at it again. We're seeing another replay. Bath are under the crossbar. Nicky Smith is on the floor. Yeah, he's playing that, isn't he? And and then Charlie Ewels goes and scores, but I don't think they can give that bit of it because Ewels is the knees on the floor and he's kind of out the game. What do you reckon, guys?
Well, even if it isn't a try here, if this is a yellow card,
it's a yellow card
they're going to score eventually.
Are we just saying this? Are we saying there's just two players' hands moving?
He might knock it on first, and he might not know. I don't think it's clear enough.
So, Adam, intentional.
I don't see it as intentional.
Luke, not intentional. So then, if we're looking it back from White, then we can look at potential grounding by Bath. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
So I think Smith's going to get away with this. They don't quite. They can't quite be sure that he's played it. I don't know. You've got a perplexed look on your face, Matt.
We've just got players. Tempo.
Doesn't matter if it's accidental.
Back to you, Cole.
Does it?
So we've got two players on the floor after the tackle. The player's just trying to move out. I'm not seeing this as a deliberate intentional act to strip the ball. So I'm still looking at a knock-on by Blue. Nothing else. We all agree on field.
I mean, that is... listen, I mean, they have a tough job out there, the officials, but my own opinion there, Carl Dixon has got that horribly wrong.
Say if he didn't intentionally do it, you still can't do it. It's still a foul.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it's a knock-on.
Do you know what I'm really surprised about? Carl Dixon played international rugby, club rugby. His brother, I beg your pardon, played international rugby. He played club rugby for a long, long time. He knows there is every intent from that player to rip it and make it look like I'm not ripping it. It's so blatantly obvious, but there you go. That's what's happened.
It's a big call, but the officials have made it, and it's a knock-on Bath. But they were so close there to scoring another try. They've got to put that to the back of their mind. They still have a man advantage. That's a big moment because that could have been Leicester down to 13. Because if he decides it's a penalty, it's got to be a yellow as well. Leicester clear their lines. That's what they do nicely. Maybe not quite gone off Pollard's cannon right boot as far as usual. Bath at the line now on the 22. They still lead 10-7. Bath 10, Leicester 7 with 8.5 minutes left of this Premiership final.
Is there any
first
chance
half.
we can go to Zara? Because she was talking about how the coaches were so cool earlier. You telling me Van Grant was cool there? So
What do you reckon, Sarah?
I can tell you, I was looking at that coaching box and there was a lot of shaking heads by the Bath side and not smiles as such from Leicester, but I think they were quite content.
Well, Van Grant is not prone to public displays of petulance, so he will keep his counsel. A shake of the head, though, would tell you everything about what Johan Van Grant thought about that decision. But it's been made. Leicester survive, but Bath have the ball and their penalty advantage, and they're really looking to turn the screw on Leicester. Cokanasiga knocked it on. Spencer's ball was a little bit too low for him. It's a sort of pick it up off his laces. What do you reckon here, though, Matt Dawson, Chris Ashton? You both played and won Premiership finals. You're 10-7 up. You've got momentum. Oh, they're going for the corner. Russell could have kicked this goal for 13-7. They are feeling maybe they've got Leicester on the run a bit here.
14 men, 6 points isn't going to be enough in this game, so it's also a difficult kick. They've got real momentum here, I think. For Leicester Tigers, I know Bath didn't get the try initially, but the momentum that Bath had in attack, you've got to keep it going here if you're Bath.
Yeah, totally agree. It's a field play. Those players on the pitch now that Bath fancy their chances. They're going to be wanting to rub some noses in it.
Into the final few minutes of this first half. One in the line now by Charlie Ewels, this club stalwart. He's had to wait a long time for success, as have all these players, as has all these fans, but they're up in the Premiership final and they're on top with Leicester a man down and Bath only 3 or 4 metres out, 3 or 4 inches now. They're held up over the line. That's a goal line. Leicester
Great
again
tackle.
hang on. And Nicky Smith, who survived that TMO call, is clapping his hands, as are the Leicester forwards. Brilliant work. Was that Cam Henderson?
Henderson, what a tackle that was. Somehow, on the retreat, managed to get his arms and hands around the ball. But yeah, you're right. The majority of the tackle was made by Radwan.
It's almost like Henderson wanted to bring...
Henderson's offside. A metre.
It's almost like Henderson actually wanted to bring him dead because he knows a goal line dropout is much better than Bath having the ball just inside the field of play. So the lead for Bath is still just 3. And I tell you what, if Leicester can get to half-time with a man down, trailing by just 3, they will take that all day long. Joe Hayes deep in conversation with Carl Dixon. Long stoppage. Who's that getting some treatment?
I don't get how Carl Dixon's missed. He was clearly offset. If he would have scored, Bath would have scored. But Henderson just tackled him.
Well, Kata was getting treatment. He's now up as we wait for the goal line. Matt Dawson.
Yeah. We can't keep bagging the TMO, but at some stage, I mean, there's two decisions there that were just so obvious.
Miles Reid.
He's been outstanding.
Reid outstanding. A couple of handling errors. Apart from that, he's been incredible. Here's Russell out the back. His pass is loose. Well picked up by Will Muir. Very loose from Bath, and then it hits Joe Cokanasiga. I mean, they're leading and they've been on top for the last 10-15 minutes, but they have been ragged at times, Bath. You feel when they click, if they click, they should have too much, but it doesn't always work that way, especially in finals. And Leicester will have the ball and they will use all the experience they have. They've got test match warriors across their 23. Two of them, Dan Cole and Ben Youngs, strapping them up for the last time for the Tigers after 18 years of service. Ollie Hassel-Collins gets it after Leicester won that little kick battle. Henderson, he's having a big season in Gregor Townsend's plans this summer. And now Pollard, that's not going to be a 50-22 because it was passed back in, but it's a brilliant kick from Pollard. It almost sits up for Radwan, and Radwan, Will Muir threw it away, and Woodward's on the ball and he gives it to Radwan. In his desperation not to get bundled out of touch, Muir threw it in field, and it's in Leicester possession. 5 to go at the first half. The Leicester fans in good voice after being really under the pump the last few moments. Hunro Liebenberg drives on into centre field. Van Porfling, no one's left, so he goes right to Clare, who's on with Matoya in the sin bin. Then it's been lost, but knocked on in the tackle by Bath. It will be a Tigers scrum. Chris Ashton, Matt Dawson, both with wry smiles across their face. What say you guys?
Bath have made so many handling errors. They're passing to each other like they've never ran a move in some stages, throwing missed passes straight to the floor. Pollard just capitalised on it. Great kick to the corner. Really turning it around and giving Radwan an opportunity.
Yeah, Bath just trying to force it. They obviously have this pattern. It's starting to come to the fore where they're from their set piece. Couple little dummy runners, getting that ball a little bit wider on those outside arcs around that 13 channel, and wanting to attack there to win quick ball and then get over the set piece like they did for that previous try. But they're forcing that initial play, and therefore it's all very scrappy and they're losing the ball with their handling.
Right, that scrum has somewhat disintegrated. Referee Carl Dixon. I mean, you're under pressure every weekend as an official, aren't you? But in a final that is going to be so closely fought, with interventions from your TMO, with both teams giving absolutely everything physically.
Leicester have been the one team this season. We've had in the Premiership massive results one way or the other at some point in the season. That's not really happened to Leicester this season. They've always stayed in games and either gone on to win or just lost. So it's dangerous for Bath. As long as they keep them at arm's length with the players that they bring on, the experience, there's always a chance for Leicester.
Right, and now twice the scrum is set, and twice the scrum has collapsed, and twice Carl Dixon gives the front rows his orders. David Flatman, working for television, is down there with a microphone metres away from the action. Because it is so important still, the scrum, isn't it, for attacking opportunities, but particularly when it's like this and penalties come one way or the other. Penalty from Leicester, they can level the scores. A penalty for Bath, and they could have one more go at Leicester back in Tigers territory before half-time, which is just 2 minutes and 40-odd seconds away on 5 Live. Bath 10, Leicester 7. Blue sky above Twickenham. Bath do get the penalty. Miles Reid claps his hands and tells his front row, who are lying prone on the Twickenham turf, good job, fellas, because Bath, through Russell, can go back into the Leicester half and try and extend their lead with a few minutes still left on this Julian Montoya sin bin.
Yeah, whatever Leicester did on that first scrum took Bath by surprise, but when you've got the quality of Dutoy, the experience of the likes of Dunn, it's not going to take them long to work out. They would have had a little conversation to say, hold on a minute, yeah, OK, Nicky Smith, you're trying that, no problem, we'll sort it. And it looked ominous from both those hits. I know there are a couple of collapsed scrum, but I think Carl Dixon was giving them Leicester a little bit of a chance.
But the Leicester front row, they've been walking for 20 minutes in between scrums, so they've got to be tired when they're hitting a scrum.
I tell you what, they did a number on Sale's line-out last weekend, and Leicester are doing the same to Bath. They are all over Bath's line-out with Ollie Chesson to the fore. A man who tomorrow, win, lose, I was going to say or draw, there won't be a draw, but win or lose, he will go into the Lions camp to prepare for that game on Friday night against Argentina and the tour of Australia, which is edging ever closer. Van Poortvliet kicks. Muir does not take his eye off the ball and takes it under pressure from Radwan. Now Spencer from Muir's pop. He dribbles it down the line to Stewart, who puts his boot through it. Right, Finn Russell just outside his own 22 with the score 10-7 to Bath. Looking for a bit of space, Russell. Big kick from Russell. Van Poortvliet's back. He juggles with it and does take the mark. So good composure from the Leicester number 9. And this could almost be it, Matt Dawson, for the first half, which is...
Not rushing back, are they?
I mean, Ashley normally wants a bit more work rate from his forwards. But in this situation, you can understand, yeah.
There's a stark difference between the Bath forwards and the Leicester forwards right now. Whether that's something that could change second half, I can't see it because of what Bath can bring on. As Montoya's coming back on the pitch.
Sarah on the touchline.
Yeah, Montoya and Reffel coming back on, so that means Charlie Clare, after his 10-minute spell, will go back onto the subs bench. Leicester have survived that 10-minute period. No real dent at all there on the scoreboard. But worth saying, the Leicester Tigers technical area, where all the subs are in front of it, they are up and down all the time. There's huge amounts of conversations. They're always in the fourth official's ears. You look off to the left where Bath are, it is total calm.
That's a great observation. There's a massive contrast. Bath so chilled. Leicester hands on hips, playing every phase of the action. Spencer and Abano almost going each other's way. Reffell's on that ball. That's a penalty. No, it's giving it the other way.
It's man on the floor.
It's a penalty to Bath, and I do think if you're Russell, I know it's on the edge of his range. Maybe Spencer will have a go. They need points because they're worth more than 10-7, even though they've been a bit scruffy. They've had so much play in the last 15-20 minutes. The clock is dead. They are going for goal. So I need you guys to come in on that penalty on Michael Checker and basically everything that's going on.
Checker's going nuts here. I think that's probably three penalties.
That was a penalty.
Competing, yeah, but around that part of the game and the competition. I mean, he's having a go at Brian O'Driscoll there as well. I mean, I don't know what Dricko's going to do about it.
They're not having a go at you, Sarah, is he? He's about the yard to your left.
Yeah, he's just gone down the tunnel. He's now come back. He's having a word. Brian O'Driscoll is about a metre to the left of me. He's smiling. So whatever Michael Checker said to him, I think Brian O'Driscoll's heard it all before. But yeah, it's tense down here.
Well, you forget they worked together, didn't they, with Leinster, Checker and O'Driscoll. Russell, great kick, Finn Russell, from miles out. That's what Bath needed on half-time. And both teams rush down the tunnel. Leicester perhaps a little bit quicker down there. Joe Hayes leading the charge, you mentioned. Out the front. Actually, that's the fastest he's run all day. It is so hot out there. Leicester want to get inside. Bath are staying out, aren't they, Sarah? They're still staying out doing a huddle by you.
Yeah, they're just taking their time. As I said, I cannot tell you how contrasting the attitudes to this final is between these two. Leicester have been so upset throughout that whole 40, even when they were up for passages of play. While as Johan van Graan, he didn't come down until about 2 minutes until we were getting ready for half-time. Michael Check has been up and down from the technical area a number of times, and I'm keeping an eye on him right now. He's trying to get close to the to the refereeing group.
Of course he is.
He's leaning in. I think he's just been ushered away, actually, by a few of his players as he goes down the tunnel. It's all happening.
Oh, their team's in the image of their coaches, aren't they? Bath, all cool, calm and collected. Leicester, all fire and brimstone. Bath, 13, Leicester 7, Ali, half-time.
Alistair Bruce Ball here live at Twickenham with Chris Jones, Matt Dawson and Chris Ashton. So a 6-point lead for Bath at half-time. First and foremost, Matt, does Michael Checker, do Leicester have a right to be annoyed there?
Not on that last penalty, but certainly there have been a couple of decisions that I think maybe could have gone their way, but I'm sure that there's probably the same for Bath. One being under their own sticks when there should be a player absolutely in the sin bin. I mean, that's done, and probably should have been a try.
So why has that been missed? How has that been missed? Or is it an interpretation of what happened?
This is a very, very
Don't
long...
start.
I would love to be able to give you an answer to that. I think that it's unfortunate that the officials have got that wrong. For me, I mean, I don't know whether I'm seeing it through some different kind of lens, Mr. Ashton. Am I seeing that from a different lens, or is Nicky Smith absolutely? I mean, for me, it was clear cut. He's held it on the foot. You're just nodding. You're not going to say anything. You're just going to nod at it.
I'm waiting for you to finish. Sorry. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's not intentional, which is what they came to the decision of. It's still a foul. If someone's accidentally catches the ball off a knockdown kick, it's still a penalty. It's an offside. He's on the floor. He's played the ball. It's a penalty. You can't just say, oh, it's a knock-on and give Leicester the ball. If you were Bath, you'd be fuming, and then they had another opportunity. Cam Henderson, the Leicester second row, is clearly offside, and he tackles the men. They hold him up. I don't think, going in here at half-time, Bath cannot be worse second half. They're only going to get better.
But are they kicking themselves a little bit, Chris, that they are not further ahead, regardless of the decisions? I mean, again, I don't watch that much. It seemed scrappy. I mean, I think Chris said, I wrote it down, scrappy but compelling. There seems to be a lot of mistakes here today.
There is, and Bath are still ahead. That's the thing. Bath have made nearly 10 handling errors. They are not going to do that second half, and the fear is they're only going to get better when they bring the bench on, when they actually do start to click, because their backline looks so dangerous. They are going to break at some point. And like I've mentioned in the first half, there's a lot of walking from the Leicester lads. They look like they're struggling already.
Did you keep an eye on Finn Russell there when he came off? He was fuming. Like, when you're
the connectivity of it all.
Yeah, really miserable about the performance. And that's going to go either way. For that type of character, it's going to go either way. Either he can gather that team together to say, right, this is what we need to do. A little bit like the analysis that Chris was talking about for the rehearsal of the Lions. And he can be that catalyst, or he'll let it affect him and try a little bit too hard and it won't happen.
You said, Matt, about midway through that first half, as Bath started to get on top, they've worked it out. What did they work out? What have they worked out? What were they getting wrong that they were then getting right?
Well, whatever pattern that Bath were trying to implement in the game, Leicester were defending it really well, and Bath weren't getting too much change. There was one occasion where they went through loads of phases and Bath actually came pretty much back to the halfway line but still had the ball. Leicester were all over them. But then all of a sudden, Bath realised that if they just got that little bit wider and made any kind of inroad, the place to attack is over that ruck. It's that pick and go or that snipe round the edges, which you might not get through to score a try, but you're then going to make the big dents. And that's where Bath all season have been ruthless when they get loads of momentum. And that's where they've found their momentum in this game.
I'm going to get this right this time. A late penalty from Finn Russell has Bath 13-7 in front at half-time. Not a late Finn Russell penalty, because that's what confused you, Matt, and possibly worried a few others.
I just had a little double take at you there.
If we have time today, I'll tell you a story once in a football commentary. Do you remember Gordon Kay from A Low a Low? I once actually went early on, so I called him the late Gordon Kay when he was very much still alive. I've actually done that twice in my career, which was a terrible mistake on both occasions. So didn't mean to do that.
It could be your thing, AB.
Well, I don't think I'm going to try and make it my thing, Matt. I don't think that's a good idea. Matt Dawson, Chris Ashton, and our Rugby Union correspondent Chris Jones. Scrappy but compelling at Twickenham. That's what we've got. Bath leading Leicester by 13 points to 7 in the Premiership final. 6-point lead going into the second half. Bath finishing 11 points ahead of Leicester in the regular season. Lots more sport to get round before second half commentary on the way here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. First, the news, though, with Al Tansley.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Israel and Iran have continued to carry out airstrikes against each other for a second day. Israel hit a major airport in Tehran overnight, and Iranian state media say 60 civilians were killed when a residential complex was hit in the capital. One of Israel's aims is to destroy sites in Iran where it believes nuclear weapons are being made, but our World News correspondent Joe Inwood says it might not have the firepower to reach them.
There's a couple of them that we know about, or experts say they know about, 80 metres to 100 metres below the surface, and these are under reinforced concrete. And this is one of the reasons that so many people said that a military solution or a military attack to take out the Iranian nuclear programme is so difficult, if not impossible.
Sir Keir Starmer has spoken to Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman about what's happening in the Middle East. Downing Street says they discussed the gravely concerning situation and agreed on the need to de-escalate. You can follow the latest on that story on the BBC Sounds live news stream, which you can find in the live dial at the top of the BBC Sounds homepage. India's Civil Aviation Ministry says the flight data recorder from the plane that crashed in Ahmedabad on Thursday is being decoded. Hospital officials say at least 270 bodies have been recovered from the scene. Thousands of people have lined the streets in Bicester in Oxfordshire for the funeral of a firefighter who died in a major fire at a business park last month. Jenny Logan, who was 30, died alongside another firefighter, Martin Sadler, and a businessman, Dave Chester. 2 skydivers have died at an airfield in Devon. Police were called to Dunkerswell Aerodrome near Honiton yesterday lunchtime, but 2 people were pronounced dead at the scene. An investigation is underway. And King Charles's birthday has been marked at the Trooping the Colour parade in central London. The King and other senior royals wore black armbands and a minute's silence was held for the victims of the Air India plane crash.
It's all ice to the lights and fed to the floor. On 5 Live.
Piastri wins the Spanish Grand Prix. It's a McLaren 1-2.
It's been a great year and it's a lot of fun winning races at the moment, so I've been enjoying it and I hope the team are too.
Next up, F1 returns for round 10 in Canada.
Tomorrow night from 7.
On 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
And download the Checkered Flag podcast for interviews, reaction and analysis.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Alistair Bruce Ball.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Half-time entertainment in full swing here at Twickenham. 5 Live and BBC Sounds live at the home of English rugby. Gripping Premiership final. Bath lead Leicester 13-7 at half-time. Let's get around some of the other sport today. First to Queen's Club, the women's tournament there this week. The second semi-final now underway. The number 1 seed Zheng Xinwen against the American Amanda Anisimova. And Katie Smith, the first set nearly over, I'm hearing.
Yeah, 2 points away, and it's the lower-ranked player, Anisimova, number 15 in the world, who started the fastest, breaking the Olympic champion in the opening game of this first set. Broke her again. She's now serving to take this first set 6-2. They played each other twice before in their careers. First time on grass, and we should say Zheng leads their head-to-head. She knocked out Emma Raducanu in the quarterfinals yesterday. She has also beaten Anisimova twice, coming from a set down. So Anisimova facing a break point here, 30-40, but 2 points away potentially from taking this first set.
Coverage on BBC One. Katie will keep us updated. Winner meets Tatiana Maria of Germany in the final tomorrow. We'll have full commentary on that final on 5 Live Sport. Rory McIlroy's on the golf course at the start of the 3rd round of the US Open. We'll go live to Oakmont in Pennsylvania, and our golf correspondent Ian Carter. How's Rory McIlroy getting on?
Steady start, 2 pars at the opening 2 holes, playing in the company of another reigning major champion in Xander Schauffele, the Open champion, and they are making their way down to the 3rd tee at the moment. McIlroy at 6 over par. Remember, the leader Sam Burns is at 3 under par. Couple of players who are out there on the golf course who, if they weren't, I'm sure would be glued to the rugby. Laurie Cantor and Jordan Smith, both from Bath, both at 7 over par. Cantor's parred his first 3 holes. Smith's just bogeyed the first.
And Ian, what about conditions out on the golf course at the moment? When we spoke to you earlier, you were talking about possibly heavy rainstorms and the like moving in. How's it looking?
Damp. It's rained very heavily overnight. A number of spectator areas have been closed because of how wet it's been, but the course very playable at the moment. The rain has eased off. I think we'll get some more a little bit later on, and fingers crossed no storms rumble into play.
Full commentary on Sports Extra this evening from 8 o'clock, Ian and the team. It's going to be a thrilling weekend of golf, the 3rd major of the men's season. Sam Burns, the overnight leader after the 2nd round, a 1-shot lead. In Rugby League, 1 match going on in the Super League today. Half-time, Huddersfield Giants lead the Wigan Warriors 12-4, and Leeds Warrington is a 5:30 kickoff. Huddersfield Giants against Wigan Warriors right now. A commentary over on Sports Extra 3. In the cricket, the T20 Blast today, Kevin Howells is at Edgbaston. Kevin, you're watching Derbyshire Falcons against the Leicestershire Foxes.
Yeah, and this one over on Sports Extra 2 at the moment, and the Foxes are 145 for 5 against their East Midlands rivals Derbyshire. This now after 16 overs. Cox and Van Beek are the not-out pair. Good figures from Pat Brown, though. 3 overs, 3 for 28. Samit Patel, you may remember him, of course, the England international, but doing a great job, or trying to do anyway, at leading the Falcons at the moment. He's taken a couple of wickets. We've seen some great batting from Sol Bullinger, a 49 for Leicestershire of 24 balls, 7 fours and a couple of sixes. A 71 partnership of 42 balls for the third wicket from Rian Ahmed and Shan Masood, but they've lost now 3 wickets and just 6 balls across 2 overs. The Foxes 145 for 5 after 16 overs.
Commentary tonight on Sports Extra 3 of the Warwickshire Bears against the Notts Outlaws in the T20 Blast. Coverage starts just before 7 o'clock. Amanda Anisimova has taken the first set at Queen's in that second semi-final against the number 1 seed Jungshin Wen. Anisimova's won that 6-2. So earlier this afternoon on 5 Live Sport, we brought you South Africa's historic win in the World Test Championship final. They beat Australia by 5 wickets at Lords. They chased down 282 to win their first ever major ICC tournament, largely thanks to the opener Aidan Markram's 136, with the captain Temba Bavuma making 66 despite a hamstring injury. So the Australians beaten. Here's the reaction of their spinner Nathan Lyon.
That one stings. I think we've been very good for over the last 2 years, but we got outplayed this game, and got to give credit where credit's due. KG was incredible with the ball on day one, and the way Aidan Markram went about his innings, this second innings of the game, hats off to him. Like, you got to sometimes take your hat off and say well played, and Aidan's definitely one of those guys.
Yeah, but why does it sting in particular? Just because it's just to try and win it a second time round, I guess.
Oh yeah, you play to win trophies. We had that opportunity this week and we got beaten outplayed. So yeah, that stings. It's going to hurt for a while, but we head over the West Indies in a couple of days' time, so we'll start our campaign there again.
We've been watching on, obviously, as interested bystanders, of course, for the Ashes. How did it feel? I mean, how are you thinking about that at all at this stage? It's a way off. You've got your 3 tests in the West Indies, but it's only 3 games away, I thought.
We've been focused on this game. The Ashes is in the back of our mind, but we've got a big series against West Indies first. Then we'll worry about the English when they come over. It's not until November 22, and we're only in June, aren't we? So it's a fair way away.
It'll go quickly though, Nathan.
Yeah, it certainly does.
That's Nathan Lyon speaking to Jonathan Agnew after Australia's defeat against South Africa. You can get more reaction to the World Test Championship final on the Test Match Special podcast, available right now on BBC Sounds. And England's men, the first test against India, gets underway headingly next Friday. The TMS team will bring you that live on SportsX from 10:25 Friday morning. Right, I'm just looking down the line of the commentary team here, just checking sweets have been eaten, food is put away, drinks have been supped, teams are back out on the field. Bath leading Leicester 13-7 in the Premiership final. Chris Ashton, Matt Dawson sitting alongside our Rugby Union correspondent, Chris Jones.
Right, 40 minutes to go then of the English domestic season. Loads more rugby to come. URC finals at 5. The Lions tour starts next Friday night. The Women's World Cup will follow that. But for these 40 minutes, do not go anywhere and do not take your attention away from what could be a magnificent second half. Bath 13, Leicester 7. It is almost entirely blue sky above Twickenham. As referee Carl Dix, there are some huge calls to make in that first half, says to Finn Russell, for the final time this season, let's go to work. And Russell kicks into the Leicester 22. Leicester then move out of their 22 and set up a platform for Jack Van Portfleet. How will both teams go about it? Can Leicester stay in it? They're back to a full complement. They didn't concede when Montoya was in the sin bin. What a fillip that could be for the Leicester Tigers as de Glanville goes too long with the kick. Pollard let it go. And that's what 80-plus caps of Springbok experience and 2 Rugby World Cup winners' medals gets you. That kind of composure. And Bath, Matt Dawson and Chris Ashton make the first mistake of this second half. Leicester at the scrum inside Bath territory.
Interesting, Jack Van Portfleet decided to kick that a long way. First half they were competing. That one, he kicked it about 60 50, 60 metres down the pitch. And Pollard's so cool at the back there. You don't see that too often, lads. I mean, it's a big in goal here, but players letting the ball run, but it was the right decision. Maybe a change in kicking tactics from the Leicester Tigers.
Another mistake, though, Ashley, from Bath. And they're just mounting up.
Well, remember last year, Northampton were the big favourites, and they played against 14 for a lot of the game, but made so many mistakes, got out of jail right at the end. A penalty against Bath, Leicester at the scrum, and they're linking nicely down the left-hand touchline below us here in the West Stand. Freddie Stewart sets it up, Van Portfleet, Ollie Chesham arrives with intent, up to the 22 goes the England international, there for Joe Hayes. Bath quick off the line, still penalty advantage to Leicester, who trail by 6 but have the territory and the possession as Pollard finds Kata, who loses it, but there will be a penalty. And surely, if you're the Tigers, I know it's not always this straightforward, but if you're Pollard with his right boot, which has cannoned so many teams to success over the years, got to take the points, haven't you, Matt Dawson? If you're Tigers and Pollard,
he loves it. He just loves squeezing the opposition, applying pressure. He's put the ball on the deck, signalled to Carl Dixon, the referee, to say, "Yeah, I'll take 3 points." And here's a guy who knows not just about winning games in the final seconds, but what these types of kicks mean. It's all of a sudden it's 13-10. You've done all your chat in half-time about being 13-7 up and what are Bath going to do. And, there's a dagger to the heart straight away. Get it back to 13-10, different complexion of the game.
Well, we've seen it so many times over the years for the Springboks. Andre Pollard, and as we give him the big build-up, he hooks it. You kind of feel, actually, the bigger the game, the higher the stakes, the better Pollard is. But not this time. It stays Bath 13, Leicester 7.
No, it's really important miss for reasons that I can't see Leicester really finding a punch through playing attacking rugby yet. So we need to rely on him to kick those kicks to stay in this game.
They've got to hang in there, you feel?
Yeah,
hang in there 3 by 3. Because on the evidence of the first half, Bath have more to their game, but we probably knew that coming into this final. However, if Bath make mistakes and Leicester do what they do, dominate the scrum, defend with intent, take their chances, but that's why uncharacteristic, but a big miss from Pollard. You've got to think.
Yeah, I saw that last week. I mean, there were a lot easier kicks than the one he's just missed there last week in that semi-final. So uncharacteristic of this double World Cup winner. I mean, you could tell there's something gone on at half-time for both sides. There's a lot of walking. There's a random catch at the back from de Glanville with a mark and traipsing back. There's not a huge amount of pace in the game yet.
Well, what can Leicester do? Can they put some pace on this after winning the line out? They go into centre field. But Bath are all over the ball on the floor. Was that guy Pepper?
Just Tigers forwards are nowhere near the breakdown, and Pepper's got in. For him, he's got way too much time to get over the ball. I watched them run from the line out there, the Leicester Tigers. They were nowhere near getting to that first breakdown.
Spencer clears to touch. It wasn't quite the kind of incisive kick deep into the Leicester 22, but it's a kick that gives Bath a nice attacking platform, and Chris Ashton, just to back up his point, pointing at the replay where Leicester, you couldn't accuse them of storming out of the traps off that line out. It's given Bath the penalty from that Pepper steal. Tom Dunn, their line-outs creak today, Bath. They've made a load of mistakes, but they get that one right. Yules, deft hands. Spencer, Finn Russell on the gale, and a Jomo short. Miles Reid offload to Cokanasiga, and he knocks it on. He's struggled to keep hold of the ball today, Big Joe on the wing, and Leicester will have the scrum.
I just don't get why they need to make these extra passes in contact, why they're taking on those 50-50, 60-40 balls where Reid's got him behind there. He might have only got him behind by 1.5 yards or 2 yards, but you then have the momentum to go off the back, and that's what Bath are lacking. If Bath were flying, actually, if they were interlinking, then you'd be saying, yeah, give that offload, but they've got no structure.
They should be further ahead, so we should justify it by getting a pass, get another try. Then this scoreboard sits a bit more comfortably. I think that's where we should be right now.
And then that pressure's going to build, isn't it? The longer the game goes on, the more errors you're going to make because you're going to force it.
Well, they crushed the Bath scrum again there, Leicester. But referee Carl Dixon implored Van Poortvliet to play it. Ollie Hassel-Collins comes in to do the kicking. Wasn't a bad one. De Glanville chips it ahead. Pollard, nice footwork from the South African. He's then felled just short of the 10-metre line. Bath 13, Leicester 7. 5 live from the BBC, live at Allianz Stadium in Twickenham. On a knife edge, the Premiership final, as it so often is. Good counter-up from Bath. And so Van Poortvliet will have to go to the boot. He does that, asking Hassel-Collins and Rafael to chase. Forward comes Muir. He knocks it backwards. Hassel-Collins onto it. Have Leicester got that? Yes, they have. It was a knock-on by Bath. And you're kind of seeing two styles. I know Bath can play the kick pressure game as well as anyone, but Leicester want to go set piece to set piece here. And it's where they can just get Bath playing away from their game and forcing it, like you mentioned they did just then with the knock-on.
Leicester living off scraps, aren't they? They're setting up their box-kicking game from every opportunity, looking for the tap down, and then a little bit of counter-attack. I'd love to see the Leicester midfield just a little bit more active, giving them an opportunity. I mean, Woodward's had a couple of little steppy runs. I've not seen Kata anywhere near like I did last week. He caused havoc last week against Sale, but that's the way that Leicester want to play.
Because they want to get to a position like this, Matt, where they can force a scrum penalty and kick the goal, because they'll be going all out for a scrum penalty here in centre field between the 22 and the 10. They've got a nudge on again, didn't get the penalty. They're looking to attack. Pollard, nicely done, coming into the line. Freddie Stewart's up there. Van Poortvliet to the right. Pollard well tackled by a couple of Bath players, including Finn Russell, who was quick off the line. There for Van Poortvliet. Montoya, who had 10 minutes in the sin bin earlier, but back on with Leicester trailing by 13 points to 7. Nicky Smith on the floor as Miles Reid tries to steal. Back from Van Poortvliet. Pollard just whacks up a big crossfield. This is a tester for Cokanasiga, takes it well. Good composure from Joe Cokanasiga, who's dropped a few balls today, but caught that one when it mattered.
Yeah, this is what I mean by it's really important. Pollard kicking his goals and keeping Leicester, like you said, Jonesy just desperate to get that scrum penalty, to get the 3, to stay in contention, because their attack really isn't going to find them many tries. It might do close to the line when they get into the 22, but from any sort of distance over the try line, they're not offering much.
They're not, Leicester, I can't see him getting a scrum penalty against Bath now. Now that initial, the intensity and adrenaline of the opening 10 or 15 minutes, it looks like Leicester are hanging on in the set piece to me, let alone trying to be dominant. They've got to bring something else.
Henderson wins the line now. Van Poortvliet, Pollard with a little show, then brings in Kata on the short ball, but that's kind of gobbled up by the Bath defence. Montoya around the corner. As Chris Ashton says, not a huge amount of wit to the Leicester attack, but it's slowly and methodically making ground up towards the 22. Bustles Woodward, who's having a big campaign, the youngster at inside centre. Montoya rocked back in the tackle. Van Poortvliet peels away. Interception by Finn Russell, and Finn Russell's going to walk it in. Chased out by Stewart, but Russell's got it. He throws it in field. Try for Bath under the post. Hang on forward. I can't believe he threw that. But Max Ajomo has scored. Russell, unless he's thinking of the conversion. Extraordinary from Finn Russell, because he was in and he threw a ball over the top, risked the forward pass. Ajomo couldn't miss. Bath have got their try. Leicester's attack wasn't really going anywhere, and Finn Russell picked their pocket and read it perfectly.
That is Finn Russell right there. Taking a gamble on the read, but a Finn Russell gamble is not like any other normal gamble.
We're just searching in the background.
Maybe he felt that he possibly could have got... I don't know, he was sliding over at best. But then to turn his left shoulder, open his left shoulder and just hook a spin pass to... Ajomo just get under the sticks. I mean, come on. That's what 80,000 people have come to see.
No other 10 in the world's doing that, are they, Ashley?
Which bit?
Oh, the player.
I mean, the intercept's one thing.
There's no one near him.
Normally, the intercepts, it's not often you see a fly half doing it. I know he's done it at Twickenham before. Remember that 38 all game? back in 2019. It was the same play, same direction, left to right from where we are.
Still checking
cleared the last pass. It's clearly
Nice
backwards.
cleared it.
Clearly backwards. It was that, the momentum might have nudged it towards the Leicester line, but his hands are so clearly going backwards. They're checking this. Are they checking this tackle? Miles Reed. They were happy that we can't go and re-referee the game. I don't think that's happened ages ago. And Dixon's right there and said he was falling. They're just checking a tackle much earlier in the Leicester move. Because
does it necessarily matter that he's falling with that type of outstretched arm? I mean, it would have been a stretch to go back for some kind of penalty with that.
But all happening there. We saw a replay, but it was no penalty against Bath. The play went on. Russell intercepted. He gave the ball to Ajomo to score. Russell added the extras. The score, the most important bit. Bath 20, Leicester 7, 51 minutes to go. And now it's a big over to you, Leicester Tigers. Have they got it in their locker to score twice and actually not just stay in touch with Bath? They can't win it in threes now. They're 13 points behind.
Not on what we've seen so far. I mean, even the intercept pass is so predictable. You've got one forward that stood right next to Pollard, and you've got two forwards that are 5 metres away from each other. There's no way that you do that in training, but because they're tired, they're not getting into place, and Finn Russell just picked it off with ease.
Leicester from the line-out. Will they be put off their game plan is the big question, because I don't think they banked on being 13 points down, as Bath are making real mischief at the breakdown, and they've forced a knock-on. And look at that body language, Charlie Ewells.
Leicester have got to make changes.
Been at the club a decade plus. Yeah, what changes the Tigers need to make?
Parise last week came off the bench and scored the match-winning try in the end. He's just someone, former rugby league man, he just offers something slightly different. He's actually on the pitch.
Yeah, Sarah, tell us what's happened there.
Yeah, it's about in the last phase of play he came on at that breakdown. Isaiah Parise is on. It's Joseph Woodward who's actually come off the field of play. He's had an incredible season, the young man, but it is Parise who's going to see out this final for Leicester.
Thanks very much, Sarah. It's a penalty, it's a scrum rather, to Bath. We just got time to nip to the tennis. What's happening at Queen's, Katie?
We're in the second set. Amanda Anisimova leading by a set to love in this semi-final against the top seed Zheng Xinwen, who has, though, broken back. Amanda Anisimova getting the early break again like she did in the first set in this second, but Zheng has broken back, so we're on serve. 2 games all in second.
Nice one, Katie. Katie Smith at Queen's for us as Russell spins it out to try score at Ajomo. He almost had space there. I wonder if he could have backed himself, but he gave it to Cokanasiga, who shrugs off Hassel Collins under real pressure there from a few Leicester players, and then he's bundled out of play. So Bath looking to attack from a solid set piece. They take play up to halfway, can't make the real incision, and Leicester will have the line out bang on halfway. Matt Dawson.
I actually feel from from the fans' perspective, as much as you never want to be 20 points to 7 down, but I think it had to happen for Leicester to kick into gear. I don't think Leicester were ever going to win this game by the way that they were playing previously. They have got to now start throwing cautions to the wind and try and throw down some of their plays that have got them to this final. They've got to get the ball, and they've got to get it down quick.
Well, we saw Radwan, what he could do in the semi-final. He's barely had it in space, has he, Adam Radwan? Can they try and do something about that? Hassel Collins off his wing, good tackle, Muir in centre field. Radwan was hugging the right touchline. But Bath, every time they get to the breakdown, Parise comes in to try and add some impetus to this move. Van Portfleet out to Joe Hayes on the halfway line. But Bath, you feel, have just got Leicester where they want them on the scoreboard, and in terms of how the game is going. Deep it goes to Freddie Stewart from Pollard's pass, and this is where we do ask questions about what Leicester Tigers have with the ball in hand, especially with Bath all over their breakdown at every opportunity. Cam Henderson to the right from Van Portfleet's pop. 55 minutes gone of the Premiership final. Bath are 25 minutes away from ending almost 3 decades of hurt. Not since 1996 have they won the title and been crowned domestic kings. Out on the ball from Van Portfleet. Actually, does that sum it up?
They're not getting any sort of game line. Bath are smashing them out. They tried to go wide early off the line out there, but Will Muir read it so well, stopped it dead, momentum gone instantly. Then they can't find that back. Pollard's firing passes back, which are hitting the floor. Ben Youngs is going to come on and try and mix it up, but the only thing they've got to go to is the box kick.
Exactly, and that's where you'd want Ben Young's coming on with the scores level just to play in the right areas, but he's coming on.
It too, Ben Young.
He's coming on with the score 20 points to 7. Changes then for Leicester Tigers. Sarah Orchard on the touchline.
Yeah, Ben Young's coming on. Of course, this is the last time we're going to see him out there playing rugby. He retires on the final whistle. Jack Van Poortvliet comes and takes a seat, but the cheer you can hear going around the Twickenham grab. As much as we have to say, we've got the exciting Amika Iloni also coming on this cheer. That is all for Ben Youngs.
Yeah, and fans are on their feet from both sides to herald one of the greats of the English game in this era. 127 caps for his country, a host of titles. He's been at Leicester since 2007. He debuted as a 17-year-old. Here he is at 35, lacing them up for 25 more minutes. Bath 20, Leicester 7 as we edge towards the hour mark. And this is where Bath, those halfbacks, we spoke about them in the build-up, they will play in the right areas. They'll say to Leicester, what have you got, Tigers? It's a great kick from Spencer. I don't know how Muir's claimed that. Like a skyer in the outfield, wobbling all over the place, and he caught it over his shoulder, and it gives Bath the ball. Halfway line for Finn Russell. He wings it out to Guy Pepper on the gain line. Cam Henderson having a good couple of games, isn't he, Henderson? But he couldn't quite force a turnover. Nice hands from Mules. Russell tries to get it away. Detoy, they do get it to the edge. Ben Urbano, a little shuffle and a step from the England loose head. There's Spencer out to Russell, who sees space, real space. Oh, that looks bang on the money from Russell. I don't think it's 50-22. It doesn't go out. Hassel-Collins flings it inside to Stewart. Charge down. Is it going to spin backwards? No. Ted Hill was up there. What an athlete Hill is. But it will be a 22. So Leicester get away with that one. But Bath just pushing all the buttons.
Agree.
Yeah, playing a wonderful game of chess, Bath at the moment. Just moving Leicester around. No, not a lot of risk in their rugby. Finn Russell now knows he's sort of got the game closed off as long as they play in the right areas. Leicester look off their feet. There's not a chance they're scoring from 30 metres from their own line.
High kick from Russell. Stewart's under that. He doesn't drop those. Does another Bath score kill off this final, Ashley?
Oh, without doubt, maybe with even 3 points. I think Bath just looking so controlled right now, and we've got this bench to come on yet, which all season for Bath have had such a big impact. Just as they seem to be plateauing slightly, they come in and they have a massive impact, so we've yet to see them. He's holding them back.
The kick from Stewart was long, but it didn't go out. Russell then sends up a kick almost as high as the East Stand in the glorious sunshine. Oh, great take to Glanville, then to Spencer, who kicks himself. How's that stayed in? Oh, that was a brilliant bit of skill from both players. De Glanville got up, and the strength to bat it back into the path of Spencer. His kick then forces Leicester to play it from their own sort of 5 metre area. Out it went, but it will be a line out to Leicester, right where they don't want it. Up went De Glanville, beat the Leicester player to the punch. Spencer took it brilliantly, and Leicester right in the corner now on their own line.
And a real shame he couldn't quite link with Reid, who was charging up in support. I mean, take your pick now, Bath. What you want to do, you want to crash into them, just keep Leicester down in their 22. No penalties, no ill discipline. What on earth are Leicester going to do? Because someone's going to have to tell me where the spark is from the Leicester side. I've not seen anything all day. Someone's got to step up in this Tigers team right now.
Bath fans, an outstanding voice. They know they're 22 minutes away from history. That's what Ben Youngs does, though. Cool and calm. Unlike a lot of the Leicester team today, he'll bring that kind of composure. And he takes play up to halfway. That's an excellent kick, isn't it, Matt? Your old area scrum half, that's what Ben Youngs will do. But, as you say, they do need a bit more than just playing territorial rugby.
And you know what Bath are going to do here? They're going to bang it straight back. Will Muir in the air, win it back. It's just repeating itself. Why would Bath go away from it? They're completely in control. And even right now off this line out, it looked like Russell looks like he's set to play second, third phase.
Done. The line out is oh, horrible ball for Spencer, but does well. Finds Miles Reid, who has been everywhere at number 8. But telling how Johan van Graan hasn't gone to his bench yet. It's been a feature of Bath all season long. Their replacements make a huge impact. It's almost as if Van Graan is saying, no, things are okay as they are. But he does have the cavalry. Up goes Muir, as Chris Ashton forecasted, but it's there for Leicester and Hanro Liebenberg. The game currently being played right between the 22s, with Bath 20 points to 7 up, an hour gone at Twickenham on 5 Live. Ben Youngs will kick. That one's gone too far for a contest, so Tom de Glanville will take it. And you imagine he'll look to send it back into Leicester territory. No, he scampers back almost up to the halfway line. To the left are numbers, but instead Spencer finds Tom Dunn, the warhorse hooker. Been a Bath player for 13 years. But until this season, not a Bath winner. They've got the Challenge Cup, they've got the Premiership Rugby Cup. This is the one they really want, and they're 20 minutes away from it. Bath 20, Leicester 7 in the Premiership final. The kick from Spencer, up goes Muir. How has he got that? I don't believe it, but he has got it. And Spencer will kick again. Will he? No, he comes to the left. Dunn over to the far side there. Guy Pepper gets around Radwan. What a burst from Pepper! What a try from Guy Pepper! A try worthy of winning any final! And it's done by Pepper, one of the brightest back row prospects in English rugby. And he's done it on the biggest stage in club rugby. And it's that the try that wins Bath the Premiership title. Bath 25, Leicester 7 after an hour.
2 moments of brilliance there. What a finish from Pepper, but had the commitment from Wilmore. No, Wilmore, not just to go up and try and slap the ball back, but he wasn't waiting for anyone else to get on the ball. Dives on it, stretches Superman style to secure it. I'm not sure how Pepper's finished that, to be perfectly honest.
So standing from Pepper, it's held off Radwan one-handed up the touchline. We've seen him. It's been.
Well, let's just see this kick, Ashley. Has Russell got this one? No, it's just faded out to the right.
He's had competition with Pollock all season with the standout moments, but he's had one himself right there. He's been so solid for Bath all season at the breakdown, but we've just seen a glimpse of what he can do going forward too. Up the touchline, what a finish.
Right, Sarah Orchard, lots to ask you about on the touchline. Are Bath looking a bit more animated now as they make some changes?
I tell you what was lovely, I could see Sam Underhill to the left of me, who of course is currently serving a 4-match ban, who was the first on his feet to cheer Guy Pepper going over in the corner. But I'm going to come straight back to you, Chris, because they're about to review something.
Yeah, they've watched the replay of Wilmore, that committed dive that we've seen, and there is a chance that maybe he has knocked it on whilst trying to gather that full stretch. Takes it with both hands.
It's on the floor, I think.
But as he dives with the ball, he gets it, no problem. On the landing, goes to tuck it under his arm.
Clear separation and loss of control from the hands.
And there is a loss of control, as you may have heard from the match officials there, which means that the ball's just rolled forward. It's separated potentially away from his control. Oh my goodness me, that is so close. You are splitting hairs here.
Goes to ground. As he goes to ground, the ball moves forward and there's clear separation from the hands. So it is a knock-on. Just a knock-on.
Well, those boos are from the Bath fans. And once the game brings in television replays, we're going to get an element of re-refereeing a game, and that's an example of it. Actually, a knock-on, but goodness me, I mean, it's tight.
I'm wondering, can he take the substitutes back off?
That final angle was, I did actually say,
if he wanted.
And then the final angle is.
He might have made the changes because they scored.
That is a fantastic observation. Does he bring the subs on at 25-7, the same as he would at 27? In commentary, we said at the time, how's Muir kept hold of that? Ultimately kept hold of it, according to the officials, by a knock-on. But it's one of those that in a pre-TMO age, it's just not even spoken about. An eyelid not batted, like in football, kind of finding a minuscule offence a few minutes before the try. But it's a knock-on, and it's a scrum to Leicester. And they survived the Tigers. They still trail by 13, but that Pepper try, which would have killed off the final, has been ruled out, and the gap stays at 13 rather than a probably insurmountable 18. Cracknell just runs with such intent, doesn't he, in the close encounters. He sets it up. Youngs will go to the boot, and they'll look to edge their way up the pitch by stealth, taken by de Glanville. He's been solid, hasn't he? Doing the family name a world of good, enhancing the family name after his dad led Bath to a double 29 years ago. Bath are still 17 and a half minutes away from that glory, from that history, from joining those heroes. And Spencer will kick and will ask Muir to chase again, and he will do that all day, will Muir. Oh, it's messy. That's forward off Leicester, but it's in the Bath possession with a Jomo, and Spencer will now kick himself.
No 50-22.
No 50-22. It was taken back in. That looks amazing from Spencer. Or has it gone the wrong side of the line? What's the AR got on the far side? Oh, they're going all the way back, are they, Matt Dawson? So a scrum to Leicester around halfway.
Yeah, there's the fine line. Slight bounce. Half a yard to the left. That's one of the great kicks all season. Listen, Leicester are having their set-piece opportunities, but actually you can't tell me that Leicester honestly think that they're going to win this game by just setting up slow rucks and box kicking. It's like a little bit like watching England about 3 or 4 years ago. They're never going to win the game.
But I don't think they've got anything else to go to, whereas Bath have. I don't think Bath are using it enough right now. Spencer shouldn't have kicked that. Go to Russell, let him make the decision. Open the game up a bit more.
Well, here's the reception for Dan Cole. And if Ben Young's got an amazing ovation, so too has Cole. And whether you're Leicester, Bath or a neutral, admiration for this man's magnificent service to English and to Leicester rugby. He has 17 minutes left of his stellar career. We have 17 minutes left of the English domestic season. Bath 20, Leicester 7. South Africa won the World Test Championship earlier. A magnificent win for the Proteas, a major domestic trophy for the first time ever for them. We've been hearing from Katie at Queen's, and we're going to go to the Gulf shortly. A very interested listener to our coverage, no doubt, and Ian Carter is waiting to speak to us. Let's see if the Tigers can make something of this attack, though. Centre field for Leicester, who make a bust into Bath territory for the first time in a while, and Pollard goes inside to his forwards. 20 points to 7, 16 minutes left. Pollard across to a stationary Nicky Smith, and this is where, if you're Bath, just want Leicester to go through the phases, because they haven't offered a huge amount with ball in hand. Their forwards driving on though with intent. Out it comes to Parise, perhaps he's the spark. On comes at number 20, Josh Bayliss for Bath, as Johan van Graan, a bit later than usually he does empty his bench. Still there for Leicester. We'll see how this attack unfolds before bringing in Ian Carter as Pollard goes to... Oh, that's almost an interceptor. Ollie Hassel-Collins has gone through. Can he link with Wadwan? The pass was a bit high. Hassel-Collins a bit more composure there, and Leicester would have been in. And maybe there is something left for the Tigers. Cracknell's onto the ballers. Alfie Barbary looked for an intercept. Much better from Leicester. And they might have numbers out here. Isaiah Parise had Hassel-Collins and the youngster Ilioni in the back row. Youngs to the left, Hassel-Collins almost gets away. Ollie Hassel-Collins into the 22, 10 metres in from the left touchline for Julian Montoya. A try for Leicester would make this seriously interesting with just 14 and a half minutes to go at Twickenham. And the cry of Tigers from the travelling fans tells you they're just getting a little bit of optimism and confidence, the Leicester fans. Still there for Youngs, now to Montoya. In their final games for Leicester, that pair. Youngs in the 22, in the Twickenham sunshine. Deep it goes, Pollard wide, Stewart almost gets away. Into the 22. Great burst from Hassel-Collins. You wonder, actually, if he just could have linked with Radwan a bit more effectively, and Leicester could have scored. Still there for the Tigers, though. Still they trail by 13 points. And still they drive on through their forwards into the Bath 22. A nervous hush around Twickenham from both sets of supporters. That's much better. Radwan still standing out there on the right, looking for the ball, looking for some space, but they come to the left. Pollard, Ollie Chesham crashes into Bath, looking for a turnover was Bayliss, but he doesn't manage to enforce it. Cracknell with a run-up. Was that an early tackle? The referee's having a look at it. In go Bath looking to steal. Alfie Barbary's got it, has he? Wrestling away. It's there for Bath, and you can hear some Bath fans behind us on their feet. They know that's a big moment. They actually could play to the left here. It's back with Leicester. How do they get that? Ilioni, can he get it to Kata? He's 2 metres short. Now it does come to Freddie Stewart. Great tackle, Joe Kokonasiga, a try saver. But Leicester are not giving this one up yet. There's still ages to play. Bath 20, Leicester 7, 13 minutes to go. The cry of Tigers round Twickenham as they look for a record extending 12th English title. They drive to a metre or two away. They could have been much closer. The closest they have been to the Bath line in absolutely ages. Will they think crossfield advantage being played as Leicester drive on? Bath are offside. A metre or two short, the Tigers. Will they keep this tight? They've got Pollard et al. To the right and Radwan hugging this touchline. But they pick and go, the Leicester forwards. Is there one more twist in this final, or maybe a few more twists? Advantage still being played. Will Ben Youngs use it? All these years of experience, he's been at this stage so many times before.
Got to shift it, it's on.
But still they wait. Youngs is digging for it. And he goes to Ilioni, who's up to the line, just to the left of the post. Oh, there's hands in the air from Leicester. Took an age to use it, didn't they? And the officials will have a look at this one.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the drama's amazing, but how to make life difficult for yourself, Leicester. Two brilliant opportunities. Hassel-Collins with a brilliant... I mean, I know you mentioned trying to link with Radwan. It was on the inside ball. It was on the the Chris Ashton inside ball that he scored probably 70% of his tries on.
It was the easier option, definitely.
Screaming for it. I mean, it was...
Right. I think Kata's scored here. Let's listen in.
Yeah, back to you.
Oh, look at the Leicester fans now. They've had nothing to cheer for an hour or so. Since that Van Portfleet try, they've not had much, but they've got to score, and Pollard will throw this over. We'll be back to 6 points in it, would you believe?
Parisi again, isn't it?
He's created the difference, spark things in and around the brook. He's just gone, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to try and do something. And every time he has, he's got 5 metres out of it.
And all of a sudden, both sides, very leggy, very tired. Had to be an inside ball from Hassel-Collins. And then Ilioni coughed up an opportunity going right to left. Leicester aren't going to get many more. They've got to make the most of these opportunities.
Yeah, the try has been credited to Kata. Conversion by Pollard. Ian Carter, I'm sure you'll forgive us for not coming to you sooner.
No, that was perfectly all right to listen to that, Chris. No problem at all. Rory McIlroy, first drop shot of his third round just a few moments ago at the third. He's parred the fourth. Very damp, wet conditions here in Pittsburgh at the moment. McIlroy at 7 over par now. 10 shots off the leader, Sam Burns, who tees off much later.
Yeah, and loads to come from Ian and the team. Final round of the US Open will be on Sports Extra tomorrow from 8, moving to 5 Live at 9 o'clock. So you won't miss a thing with Ian and the team, and keep across Ian here on 5 Live and across the BBC Sport website to see how things unfold as the pros try to tame that Oakmont beast in Pennsylvania. OK, 10 minutes left in the Premiership final. Bath 20, Leicester 14. When Pepper scored, it looked like it was going to be a Bath procession, but now it's anything but, and this is where the nerves kick in. This is where all your planning kind of goes out the window. As Young's in the backfield, solid kick, very solid, down the throat though of Will Muir. Finn Russell, they'll need Russell here, they'll need Spencer, they'll need decision making to be right. Was he caught late by Cole? The fans thought so. Yes, they've got a penalty.
We're going to have to look at this, mate. We're going to have to look at this,
They're
please.
going to have a look at this. Dan Cole came through on Finn Russell. Chris Aston, your verdict, they're having a look at it.
You're telling me it's more.
It might be a penalty. I don't think we need to stop the game for this. Just clumsy from Dan Cole.
Yeah, Dan Cole's head's gone just for a second. The whole stadium saw Dan Cole accelerate as if he was going to charge it down, and it's very difficult for him to change direction. He's committed, but he knows what he's doing. He's gone straight into Finn Russell. Minimum penalty.
White player's gone up to charge down, then he's pulled his arms down, turned his shoulder into the Bath 10.
He's going to get yellow card.
I agree.
That's really sad, actually. I know it's his own fault, but for Dan Cole's career to end with a yellow card, boos from the Leicester fans. Michael Checker, of course, is shaking his head, but the referee has decided he went to charge, then turned his body. That's what's cost Dan Cole. He might get back on for 10 seconds or so, but if not, that's the end of Dan Cole's career, and it ends in fairly ignominious fashion with the yellow card, and he's gesticulating as if it was an accident and part of the charge down. That'll be debated. Penalty Bath. Finn Russell going for goal to try and extend this lead from 6 to 9.
It doesn't matter. You've got to be in control of your body. I know he's desperately saying he's been hit the side, but I've never seen Dan Cole jump before. Of all the times he decided to jump.
It puts to bed all of this experience, how many caps you've got, how many trophies you've won. Under this pressure, under the heat of battle, your brain does some very silly things.
Russell kicks the goal. Nicely done from Finn Russell. Look at the Bath fans. I can't overestimate or exaggerate how many fans from Bath are in here. It's blue, black and white everywhere. But as we know from that Casa try, there's plenty of noise coming from the Leicester fans too. The gap is now out to 9. Leicester have to score twice. There's plenty of time to do it though. Bath 23, Leicester 14 as the Glanville takes it. Chris Ashton, talk us through it. You've been in this final many times in your career. The final 9, when you're either 9 behind or you're 9 ahead. It all comes down to this.
Yeah, that could be the final nail, couldn't it? 9's really difficult to get back, especially when they've thrown everything to get the last try. You think Bath are just going to lock this down now for the next 8-9 minutes.
Oh, what a kick from Spencer. Taking that deep wide, definitely up to halfway, maybe into the Leicester half. It's a real low trajectory to his clearance kick, not a hint of a contestable, just whacked it downfield. Right, back to Katie at Queen's.
And we are on serve in this second set. Amanda Anisimova leading Junshin Wen, the Olympic champion, by a set to love, but it has been topsy-turvy. We've had 5 breaks of serve in a row, whether it's the wind, whether it's a bit of edge in this semi-final or not. But we're on serve here in the second. For either of these players, it would be a first grass court final. Tatiana Maria are waiting for them tomorrow.
Nice one, Katie. Bath 23, Leicester 14, 8 minutes to go. Matt Dawson.
If there's one team this season who know how to finish it from here with 9 minutes to go, control against 14 men, it doesn't matter whether you're a Leicester fan or not, you're going to put your money on Bath here.
If Bath don't win it, you feel they'll have to wait another 30 years, don't you? If they don't win it from here. But Leicester, as we've seen all season, do not know they're beaten. They trail by 9 though with under 8 minutes to go as Youngs links with Hanro Liebenberg, always makes ground. Oh, it's a penalty. He's done Guy Pepper here, the referee. So it is a penalty to Leicester, and Andre Pollard will no doubt go deep for the corner, Ashley.
I think Radwan got caught there in that tackle.
Sorry? Is that?
I mean, that has been part of the problem with Leicester. Chris, you've mentioned many a name, ball in hand today. Not sure you mentioned Radwan. Leicester have just not been able to get the ball into their key playmakers, their game changers.
He had one carry through traffic, didn't he? But you want him wide, you want him in space. He scored 10 tries in 10 games, and they just haven't been able to get him onto the ball, but they are still doing what Leicester do, hanging in the fight somehow, and Pollard's took it to 5 metres. How he does this is ridiculous on any kind of angle. 40, 50, even more metres. He belts it down as close as he possibly could get it to the corner flag. And they have had a knack of scoring points when they've got down here, as Montoya finds Chesham. They scored with a rolling maul earlier, and heave is the cry from the Leicester supporters. They're edging across the field. A Leicester try would make this incredibly interesting, and they're only 3 or 4 metres away. Young's at the back, Bath bodies everywhere. Leicester motoring towards the Bath line. It's just a chaotic scene, but it's there for Leicester as Bath claps it. So it's a penalty to the Tigers.
20.
And the spirit. We may be questioning their ability to make obvious incisions into the opposition, but Leicester's spirit is of the highest order, and it runs through the club, doesn't it? You can take it back decades.
Yep.
They don't know when they're done.
Ollie Chesham, tap penalty, driven on, another advantage. They're hemorrhaging penalties here. Bath, they come to the left, up to the line, Cat to the try scorer. He's so close. Youngs! Oh, a dummy with 5 minutes left of his career. What a moment that would have been for Youngs. No advantage penalty. Oh, Ashley's got his head in his hands.
Yeah, are we calling that a dummy? Are we?
I wouldn't say it was Ben Youngs of old. But look what he's done since he's come on. Leicester have just hung in there. He's played a clever tactical game. Let's listen to the ref.
And offside. He didn't dummy, he tapped it.
He went to tap it.
I don't think you did. Just make sure you tap it.
Okay, Sarah on the touchline. I mean, if Leicester were animated in the first half, I'll bring you in a moment, because they're tapping Sarah as Leicester go again, a couple of metres short. How long's left? 5 minutes, 9 points in it. Leicester try would take it to a one-score game, a 2-point game. As Youngs goes deep, Kata, Pollard left it for his centre, underneath the Bath crossbar. There for Youngs, tired bodies everywhere on this baking hot Twickenham day. Leicester 3-4. No more than 5 metres out. As Youngs digs for the ball again, he comes to the right, his forwards drive on. Can Bath hold firm, or can Leicester take this one deep into the final 5? To the right they come, Ilione! He's wrestling up to the line, he's over! I don't believe it! What a drive for Mika Ilione! What a season he's had! He's done it when it's mattered the most! And we are going right to the end, as we thought we might, because this Leicester team just don't know when they're done. Bath 23, Leicester 19, with the kick to come.
Ilione, power, pace, change of direction. Under all the pressure, in amongst all the traffic, I'm not quite sure how he got through. It's only only 5 metres in all that traffic.
Pollard kicks it, of course he does. 2 points in it, Chris Ashton, you can't stop smiling.
He's done that all year. Ilione, he's come off the bench and he's either got a crucial turnover or he's scored tries. But there's 2 back players wrapped around him. He's twisted and turned, managed to get over. But we did say with Leicester, if they get into the 22, they are dangerous. And they've just not given up.
Oh, the Bath are walking now. We thought it was Leicester who were flagging, but Bath are trying to eat down the clock. It is coming down to the final 3 minutes, as it did last year, as it does every Premiership final. Bath 23, Leicester 21. The next score wins it surely, with 3 minutes to go. And they've done it with 14 men, Dorse. They've done it with 14 men. As Leicester have it through Youngs, but they are on the wrong part of the pitch. And now 18 rounds of action, 80 minutes of semi-final. All comes down to little moments here. Youngs' kick is solid, but it gives Bath a set piece, which has creaked today, but they do have a line out over the far side on the 10-metre line with 2.5 minutes left of the season.
Yeah, well, the bonus for Leicester with having... No, there isn't a bonus with having 14 men. The way that Bath are playing, it's not as if Bath are trying to stretch Leicester in any way and therefore find those gaps out wide, where if you had 14 men, maybe you exploit it. Bath are taking Leicester on with the box kicks, with the driving mauls round the fringes. So Leicester are just squeezing in. And then Bath are making life easy for Leicester by playing this slower game. It's all right with a 9-point lead. It's only 2.
Well, they've won the line out and they're edging up the field, Bath. Very slowly. It doesn't matter how slowly, as long as it's moving. It's there for Ben Spencer, who's told to use it. Alfie Barbary peels away. They can't risk being isolated here, Bath. Have they lost it? They have lost it. Turnover by Leicester. With 1.5 minutes to go in the Premiership final. Bath 23, Leicester 21. Leicester have to go 80 though. But they got in there to steal, where Bath just had to try and keep the ball.
And that's maybe where they've struggled today, isn't it? Have they gone 80 without a box kick, without giving the opportunity for the opposition to get the ball, which on this occasion is only going to get kicked out?
If Leicester can squeeze a penalty out of Bath, or if Bath lose their discipline, then Pollard goes deep, and then they properly can squeeze Bath. Youngs' box kick. Here's a tester for Muir. Well taken, Will Muir. Forward come Leicester with real intensity, pouring forward. All these greats of Leicester playing in their final minute of rugby.
And that's it, minute drill. That's what they'll be practicing.
Well, but then if they cannot risk trying to eat down the clock, can they? Because Pollard can kick it from here. If they give a penalty away.
But, I mean, look at the way that they're playing. It's in that 5-metre channel. They know it has to be no risk.
Well, fans around us can barely watch, Matt. You say it's got to be low risk, but if Bath get their drill wrong here, Pollard can kick Leicester to the title. 20 seconds to go. I wonder if Spencer will feel it's just not worth the risk to try and keep the ball and give a penalty away. And I think Russell's saying that. They've got one more ruck, Bath. One more ruck to become champions. 8 seconds to go. 6 seconds to go. I think Bath are going to do it just about. Spencer digging for the ball. The countdown from all the travelling Bath fans. And Finn Russell smashes it into the crowd. And Bath are champions. After almost 3 decades, Bath are kings of English rugby again. And the tens and tens of thousands of Bath fans can party like it's 1996. But there isn't much of the energy to celebrate from both sides. We knew Leicester had spirit. They showed it in abundance. But Bath, the runaway league leaders, who had their noses in front for practically the whole of the final, have just about got the job done. And now Twickenham is blue, black and white.
Bath have shown the way this year. There's no question. And we can't sit here and say that was a vintage final by any stretch. But what Bath had to do against a very determined, gritty Leicester side who fought to the death, and probably, as we all discussed, really only sort of lit up the game with maybe 20 minutes to go. But there were some tired bodies out there that couldn't quite spark up that Leicester Tigers side to threaten for the game. Bath have been a worthy winner of this competition this year. They've been consistent week to week. They've ridden some waves. They've had a torrid 30 years, pretty much, with such rugby culture going through that city. Very, very pleased to see them win this, because they have been the best team this year, and not a vintage actually by any stretch. But Bath have yet again shown how to win pretty, win ugly.
No, and you could tell the pressure was on them today. They made errors that they haven't made all season, but they got it done. They weren't able to enjoy any bit of that final, were they? They were under pressure, they got a bit of a lead, and then they put themselves back under pressure. Even after the whistle went, there was like more relief than being happy with what they've done today, but it doesn't matter. And as soon as the whistle goes, you know you've done the job. They've had such a good year, and full deserved winners.
I don't know how Leicester made it so close, but they did, and for that they deserve so much credit. But Bath are champions. Sarah, if you can hear us, now the Bath replacements are up on their feet. Having been pretty quiet all day, it's party time round where you are.
Do you know what has been fascinating? Yes, there was a huge cheer when the final whistle went, but other than that, all of the technical area where the Bath players are and the coaches are now, it's almost like it's a relief. It's not like it's joyous celebrations. It's not like the party's about to start. It's like, thank goodness that is over. Thank goodness it is done. Job has been complete. That was a bit of business that we have been waiting to do for a while, and there have been a few tears. I noticed Johan van Grani went down on one knee, just took a moment to himself. He had tears in his eyes, and now he's got Lee Blackett working his way around, congratulating everyone. He's off going to be training with England, of course. He's joining them on their tour, but they will enjoy this moment.
Well, Ali, look at the scenes around Twickenham. Look at the scenes down on the pitch. We'll get some reaction from Sarah. Bath are champions of England. Only just. Bath 23, Leicester 21.
I'm absolutely exhausted, and I've done absolutely nothing for the last couple of hours other than be drawn into that incredible sporting occasion. I mean, Matt Dawson, what an effort from Leicester, but what an achievement from Bath, because at the end of all of it, the best team in the country domestically has won the Premiership this season.
Yes, no question whatsoever. I'm not sure about I mean, the Leicester team, for me, the Leicester team was a shadow of itself from last weekend. And I know it's two different sides in Sale and Bath. I'm not sure what went on this week, but I think Ashley mentioned it a couple of times towards the back end of the first half and the beginning of the second half on how tired Leicester looked and how lethargic their forward pack were in getting around the park. And they just didn't have... We kept mentioning about where was this spark, but Bath, it was a little bit like the try, Pepper's try that got disallowed when he had Radwan at arm's length, like you would when you were messing around with the kids in the garden and they're trying to make a tackle and you're just like, yeah, get off. Bath were a little bit like that with Leicester for most of the game, and then all of a sudden Leicester kicked in and thought, well, we've got to try something else. Parisi came on, Kata started to kick on a little bit with Parisi, and they got the momentum. But then again, Bath just regrouped, sucked the energy out of the game and ploughed on through the last couple of minutes. They've done that regularly throughout the season, and they finished it in that type of style.
It reminded me of the final last year when Northampton were probably the favourites, had been the best team in the league. Ben O'Barner gets sent off. Northampton are playing against 14 men. It's like, oh, go on then, Northampton, go and win it by miles. And Bath hung in there. And whatever people say about, we're not thinking about history and 1996, of course, it weighs heavy in finals. And what's so beautiful and brutal about sport in equal measure is you see the humanity, you see people be mortal, and you could tell that Bath, even though at one point they would have been 25-7 off and home and hosed, it just started to get so tense. Leicester wouldn't let them get away, and they just about got over the line.
We're going to keep it flexible on 5 Live, certainly for the next half hour or so. On air here through until 6 o'clock, and then 6:06 follows for a couple of hours this evening. I can see Sarah Orchard is down there on the touchline waiting to grab anyone that moves to get the post-match interviews. Chris Ashton, from Bath's point of view, the emotion of those players, totally and utterly understandable. Given what Chris was explaining there, the mistakes, the nerves, the kind of control they had in the game, but how close they nearly came to not winning it.
Yeah, there's a lot of added pressure on Bath because we spoke about the many years they haven't won, but also they haven't got many lads. They didn't have Ben Spencer in the team that have won this competition before, so there's no real understanding on the pitch of what it takes to win finals. I know they've won a couple this year, but Premiership's slightly different. You're at it week in, week out. So there's a big learning curve from them today as well. They'll take that into next season. They're in such a good place now. They've got such a good squad that's going to move forward into next year. They'd be so relieved more than anything just to get that done.
And Chris Jones, I mean, let's not forget, it's a treble this season. I know this is the big one, but it's a treble.
It is the Premiership Rugby Cup, it's a nice to win. It's something that is mainly played by the fringe players, the younger players, but they got that. They won the Challenge Cup, beating Leon in Cardiff, and now they've won the English title. So an incredible season for Bath Rugby.
Right, Sarah's got both arms in the air. She's going to need one of those to hold the microphone and do a post-match interview. Sarah.
I'm delighted, Sam, with the player of the match, Guy Pepper. How does it feel to be a Premiership champion?
Yeah, it certainly hasn't sunk in at all yet. I mean, it means so much to this group, as you can see. Finn Russell's literally dancing right there, and yeah, it just means so much to them. I've just said there, they've been on a three-year journey and where they were bottom of the league, and credit to them, credit to Johan, credit to Bruce, the journey they've been on. I've only been part of it for the year, and long may it continue, because I'm absolutely loving it.
You mentioned that you've only just joined Bath. What has this season been like, and for you to be given this opportunity to play in this final and be player of the match?
Yeah, I'm just grateful I've got the opportunity. Potentially didn't know what it was going to look like this year, particularly coming from Newcastle. And look, I'm just taking every opportunity I can, and days like today are just so special. And as I say, I can't wait for next season already.
What's the party going to be like tonight?
Sauna, ice bath, lots of beers.
I'm glad you finished with that. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you, Sarah. Man of the match, Guy Pepper, name-checking the head coach, Johan van Graan, and the owner, Bruce Craig, who, amongst everyone else in this stadium, are just going to be on top of the world, because that was an 80 minutes fraught with nerves and tension. I think, Chris Ashton, moment that I'm going to take away, moment of the final for me, was the Finn Russell pass into Max Ajomo on the breakaway try. And I know Finn Russell is not thinking of this. You guys were saying that's the way he plays. But even the narrative there of his dad having played in the team that last won it in '96, for Max Ajomo to score the try in the final and Bath get the win as well.
And that is, they needed Finn Russell at that time. Whatever it was going to be, a pass, a kick. He came up with the goods with an intercept that no one saw coming, and completely against the run of play, just took a gamble himself and did the ridiculous thing to pass it inside when he could have scored it himself. I'd be very grateful for him passing me that ball too, but just the fact that that player came up with that play at the right time, which is why Bath got him here in the first place, for all the good he's done this season too, for him to come up and have a moment like that in a final, just sets him up so well for the Lions in the summer.
Dan Cole came on, Matt Dawson, you were talking about experience in the game, and gave away the penalty and got the yellow card, and Leicester played the last 10 men with 13 minutes, but still scored a try in those 13 minutes. And I hate to ask the question, how is Dan Cole going to be... they've lost it by 2.